Three, two, one, Hootie. Hello, welcome back. Welcome back to the
Hi.
podcast
Hi.
that we have still.
The
Um,
Campy Cast. We have a.
we have a
I'll
podcast. I
do our
don't know if you know
introductions.
that.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
Anthony.
And I'm Brian. And today we are starting a very
Very
special
special
series of the Campy
series.
Cast.
We foreshadowed this in
Yeah.
our last episode with some movie dude, and we're doing it today. We also might
Yeah.
have brought. I think we might have said something about this show in the past as well. I think I remember we
Probably
mentioned one of the new
offhandedly.
episodes coming out, but now,
We
now,
probably did back in like one of our October episodes or
yeah,
something
back
like
when
that.
we were new
Uh,
to this whole podcast thing, but now this is our
yeah.
22nd episode, and
Whoa, that's crazy.
it's
We're in the 20s
crazy.
now.
Or the
Gonna
20s,
party
baby.
like it's the roaring 20s.
Yeah,
Crazy.
Family Guy.
Yeah, but anyway, so to quickly introduce this series that we'll be doing, these won't be back to back, but we'll be doing these
Yeah.
probably on our
This is
next couple episodes.
part one of a trilogy of videos
Yeah,
that are sure they're
trilogy.
not all a part of the same franchise. I mean,
Uh,
universe, no, that's a whole
whoa, whoa,
theory
whoa,
rabbit
okay,
hole.
well, kind of, we'll get into that later. But
That's a whole theory rabbit hole. But
these are three of arguably Disney's most
yeah. So we all
popular
know Disney
cartoons
Channel
of the last.
shows.
Yeah, Disney Channel. This one will be focused on the
The
Owl House
Owl
as the
House,
thumbnail
yeah,
probably gets to.
I think there's
Yeah.
one specific thing you might have heard about this show that we will bring up definitely because it's crucial to it and what Disney has
Okay.
done to the show. Yeah, that.
Okay.
We'll
Yeah.
talk more about that later and how Disney screwed
Uh,
this show over.
yeah.
But if there's one thing that this and More Oral, another series we've covered, have in common, it's that they were both shortened due to their studios
That's true.
having problems with what they were airing. So,
Yeah.
yeah. However, I think
Even though with both shows, what they were objecting to was very out in the open. So I don't know how they had a problem with that, or like they like didn't see that coming. Like, look, the signs were all there. Everyone, you kind of, I don't know how you didn't pick up on that.
yeah,
But,
it's like
all right.
yeah. So yeah, this ain't no moral oral, okay? There's good
Yeah.
emotional stuff in this show and stuff, but it ain't we're not here. It's not going to be as passionate. We're not as passionate
Yeah.
about this show as we are with moral oral.
Yeah.
And it's also
Forewarning.
much more friendly.
Yeah. Forewarning to all of you listening. In this three-part series, this is the series I like the least. We've had arguments about this before, but the Owl, great show. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's good. We'll talk about season one in a second. I want to
Great.
bring up a couple more
It's a,
things. We
it's a
might
great show, but it's yeah. They keep
yeah,
going.
okay. So we might compare this show to the other two ones we're doing, that being Amphibia and Gravity Falls, which
Yeah.
will come out. Those episodes will come out in the next month or two. We'll see. I'm
Yeah.
not going to give a specific
Amphibia one we
release
already
date.
have down the pipeline, and a Gravity Falls one most likely will be not too short.
Definitely
long
going to be
after.
in the summer though, because that will be a perfect
Yeah.
time for
That makes
talking
sense.
about it.
The
Yeah, because the
summer
show takes
show.
place in the summer. Honestly,
but
I
Amphibia
usually,
is.
I
Sorry, I
usually
interrupted you
use
guys.
you just used Disney Channel when I was younger to watch Phineas and Ferb and nothing else. And now there's shows like this that have been a buzz in the cartoon community. If you're a fan of
Yeah.
cartoons like we are, even though we don't talk about a lot of them, but if you're a fan of cartoons, then you probably heard this show somewhere and what
Yeah.
Disney has been doing to it. So we'll talk more
You want
about
to
that
quickly
later.
explain both of our explain our histories of the show first, how we got into
Watched
both
it
watching
because I heard stuff about it and I was like, yeah, why not? I should watch more TV shows. I know that's something I
Okay.
keep saying, but I don't watch a lot of TV, but I watch this and Moral Oral. So
I used to not watch a lot of TV, but then something switched in my brain, and now I'm a mostly show person. Even though you don't get to hear that much on here, but
yeah,
yeah.
one
But,
day
so
though.
my history with my history with the Owl House, just to briefly go over it. It's not that interesting, like probably the other two. I have much more of an interesting story behind them. With Owl House, it was so in the summer of 2022, I was in the middle of my what I like to call the Disney Channel summer, the summer Disney binge, where I watched Amphibia. I love that show. Then shortly after, I watched Gravity Falls. The natural step was like, all right, I'm gonna watch Owl House. Hey, that's basically it. I just wanted to give a quick detour into how both we started it because I'm gonna do that in the other ones. I think I want to make sure
Yeah, I
they all
might do that
connect
a
in that
bit as
way.
well. But
Anyway, so yeah, there we are.
yeah, that's
Those
the
are
out. That's yeah.
histories.
We'll talk. Since show episodes are different than what we do with movies most of the time. We'll bring up plot points. We'll describe certain characters. We'll describe the
Yeah,
episodes, the overall plot of the show, and what certain episodes and what the season is setting up for the future. There's three
yeah,
seasons of this show, and we're going to
yeah.
cover each of them. One season is shorter than
Mhm.
the other two, but I
One
guess
season is much worse than the other two, but we'll get to that.
sort of.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah. Do you have anything else to say, or should we just get into?
I have one quick thing. Uh, Remember, for some reason, this stands out in my mind. I started the Owl House the same day I saw Neon Genesis Evangelion, and I don't know why I remember that, but I find that really funny because they're both like kind of became large memes in my friend group for different reasons. Shout outs to all you hospital scene fans out there. But yeah,
Who
I just wanted to
knows?
quickly bring that up. I thought that
Yeah, we
was
might do an
funny. And now,
Evangelion episode at some point. Who knows?
ooh, boy.
In the
Anyway,
future, since we have a lot of other episodes
future.
planned, we won't spoil them.
Yeah.
We just kind of foreshadowed this one in the last episode because we like knew it was going to happen and thought it'd be nice to foreshadow the episode.
We
So
don't plan this podcast too intricately. At least until now, we have the last couple lined up. But yeah,
stay tuned for those
and you want
ones.
to just
But yeah.
want to jump into
Let's jump
the
in,
Owl House
yeah,
now.
to the first season. The
Yeah.
first season of The Owl House, a show created by
All
Dana
right.
Terrace, who was a storyboarder on Gravity Falls, a show that people seem to compare to this show a lot, and I can't say I blame them because there are a couple of similarities with the episode plot, specifically in the first season, that I
Yeah.
think I could
I mean,
understand.
King literally has Bill Cipher's voice,
Yeah.
so
Um,
that's something.
So,
Yeah.
what is the Owl House about? You may ask. I mean, maybe I don't know for those like. I mean, most people watching this probably seen the show, but I'm just going to describe it again anyway, since I think like the best way to break this down
And
is kind of
that's a good
like
way to start us
describing
off.
events of the show and then sharing our thoughts on it. So, the Owl House is a pretty simple plot. It follows a girl named Luz, who's quirky and different from the people she lives with. She lives in a town with her mom, and one day, she decides her book gets stolen, and she ends up in this place called the
Yeah.
Boiling Isles, which is a place of fantasy. All that's a typical fantasy world with witches and wizards and beasts and whatnot. And here she meets two main characters for the first episode. She meets Ida, the Owl Lady, the witch on the Boiling Isles, voiced by Wendy Malick, and her roommate King, who is voiced by Alex Hirsch, that Brian just
Hirsch, yeah.
mentioned. Uh,
Mhm.
and it's pretty simple. The main plot of the first season is kind of Luce wanting to learn magic because her mom was going to send her to a summer camp, and that was going to like change her personality. So most of the series kind of follows her just meeting people and getting into particular situations.
We meet some wacky
Meet
characters
some
along the way.
wacky characters, like
We,
one of my
we meet
personal
Willow,
yeah,
Gus,
Willow and Gus,
and
who are two students at this magic school called Hexside. Uh, they're not really that fleshed out in this first season or even the rest of the series, but we will get more into that later.
yeah,
Um, but like in general, the first season of The Owl House is okay. It is not
it's all right.
amazing, but it isn't particularly anything all that special. To me, there were only two episodes I thought that were truly exceptional, but
Yeah.
most episodes ranged mostly were fine. There was only one
Yeah.
that I really kind of disliked, and the rest were just
Uh,
kind of whatever. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. And I didn't really dislike any of the characters. I mean, Luz is a fine protagonist. She's there. I guess she has the occasional charming moment.
The only
Um,
one I really liked was King from the get go. Part of that is just because I
Alex
love Alex
Hirsch's
Hirsch's voice, so that's
performance.
fun.
Yeah,
But
he's
no,
good.
no, but even still, he does a great job. I love his like vocal deliveries and him like, especially in this first season, talking about like how he's
Demons,
like
of how he's the
yeah, the
former
king of
king of
demons and everything.
demons or something.
Yeah, and the whole thing, I find that really fun.
Yeah,
And then
Alex
they
Hirsch
do
does
a
a
lot
good
with
job
it.
at playing him. Like, I think it's like,
And
we won't talk about the character of Bill Cipher, but he has a very similar voice to him, and I think
yeah.
that just makes it
Which
ironic
kind of
considering.
it's kind of been distracting for me, especially when I first watched the show, because I never heard. I was like, ah, it's Bill Cipher. That's him.
You just think of
Which
him,
is
and I
kind of
feel like,
distracting if you know what kind of character Bill Cipher is.
yeah, they're both great characters, but we're like I said, we're
It's
not going to
true.
spoil our thoughts on Amphibia and Gravity Falls, even though we might make some subtle comparisons
I'll
to
make a
both of
couple
them. Yeah.
comparisons, partially because Amphibia and Owl House are like very associated together in my mind.
Yeah.
Kind of like they
Uh-huh.
connect like that.
Yeah,
But
like some people even theorize that they're in the same timeline. And there was even like a
well,
table
actually,
reading
they
crossover, so
are.
like I guess they kind of
I
are.
think.
Yeah. I
Well,
mean, it
no, I
wasn't
think they literally are because
animated,
of the
but
cameo that
yeah.
we'll
I
get
mean,
to.
like it was a pretty simple crossover. Not much really happened into it. It's just the two main characters kind of meeting, only for Luce to get swept back to the Boiling Isles again. So, yeah, yeah. I mean, have you seen that
Uh,
table
anyway,
reading
so the thing is,
crossover? Have you seen that?
oh, I haven't. That
Oh, you
sounds
have
neat
to.
though.
Maybe
I
we. Hmm.
okay. At first, I think you're talking about the Chibi crossover they did. That's like 2 minutes long
Those
on
little
Disney. That's
baby
what you were talking
shorts
about.
of all those Disney characters.
No,
No, not
I
those.
think it would be really cool if a real Amphibia Owl House crossover happened. I would
It
love
would.
that, but
It would
I
be.
doubt that would ever exist.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be cool.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
the first. Yeah, I don't know. Like the pilot where they introduce Luz and the characters is perfectly serviceable for a pilot.
it's
The
okay.
one thing
Like,
I kind of like about it is that the twist is that the whole plot revolves around King just getting this fake little, like a little Burger King crown, and like they have to go on this like treacherous journey. I don't know. King on paper he's like the typical like character who's like a baby character who is like pathetic and never taken seriously, even though he tries to command people. But like I think it all comes down to Alex Hirsch playing him that makes him
yeah, no,
such an
I love him.
endearing
He does it
character.
perfect.
And I think
Yes.
he's just like a fun character, and there's like, and most of the jokes
Yeah.
they laughed at were from him specifically.
I don't find the show very funny. I don't think it tries to be funny very much, but like,
I
so
had
that's
some
not really a
laughs from
problem.
King.
Yeah, but
It's
then it's mainly
overall,
just mainly from him.
yeah, he's the
But
funniest character.
yeah, the thing is, I think the main thing is I like him. I like his dynamic with Luz. I think it's
It's
sweet.
a
It's
nice
cute.
dynamic between them. Yeah, like
It,
it's you can tell they care for each other. It's like it's a nice brother sister bond they grow over the course of
oh
the
yeah, no, it's
season, and I
great. I
actually kind
love
of
that.
like, yeah, like an episode I actually kind of like in some way is like I like the one where King becomes this famous author. I don't know, like it's
Yeah,
not
it's one of the
great
only
from
ones that
a
actually like
conceptual
stands out in my
standpoint,
mind.
but it's just fun. It's just nice. I don't know. I
The
like.
concept's kind of dumb, but I like it.
Yeah,
It has this stupid,
With
it's
King
this
and
dumb
Luz
book.
writing some novel only
And
for,
eventually they get like trapped and have to write
yeah,
like
by this
the book
lizard
of the.
man,
I
and then they
find it.
have to write like something under crunch time when like if they don't write it in time they get
Yeah,
squished into a cube. And I don't know, it's a
yeah,
nice plot, it's simple with
like it's one
a,
of the only ones, at least for me, that I feel like. Thing is, I don't like using the criticism generic. I don't think that's what Owl House season one is. But I feel like I don't know. I feel like at this point in the show, they haven't like fully found out their own like identity yet. If that makes sense, because like
yeah,
I
there
think like
isn't much to it. Like there's the occasional like good episode and fun character moment, but it's just not something I'm too into. I guess
yeah,
it's like I'm not like I said I'm not really into characters like Gus or Willow who are just kind of there. I guess I don't really care for
because
them.
I think they're all right characters. The
They're
problem is
perfectly
show just
serviceable.
does not care about either of them enough.
Yeah, the show does not
That's not really a season one problem. But when we get to season two and three, I'll talk about that. Gus and Willow are kind of sidelined.
Yeah,
It's a little
especially
depressing.
Willow in certain
Oh yeah, definitely.
parts
But
of the storyline. But like,
see, I
yeah,
like what they do with Willow. They just never give her time. That's the
yeah,
annoying
yeah.
thing.
Willow has a good episode, and it's probably one of the
Oh, she
best
has a
episodes
great
of the season.
episode.
It's like,
Yes.
yeah, it's one of the only truly great episodes of the
Yeah,
season,
no,
though.
Understanding
Like,
Willow is the only. Okay, it's one of the two episodes in season one I really
I
like.
think
They
there's
do like,
only two characters that I think are well fleshed out, overall enjoyable for me, and that's King and Amity. Because I think like
uh, yeah, no, I like Amity.
I think
Some stuff's kind of
yeah.
rushed in
I mean,
season
yeah,
one,
it's
but
she's not like yeah, but I do like her the kind of arc they give her. So like yeah, so first
yeah,
off, she starts off as Luz's rival, who is introduced in the same episode. We are introduced to Willow, I guess, and that episode
yeah,
is fine.
it's okay.
I don't know. I don't mind. I don't understand
More
why
serviceable
everyone is
introduction stuff.
somehow
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't understand how people can like think that Luz is this like a purple abomination thing. Like that's just a stupid plot point in that episode. It's like that's kind of weird, and it's like, yeah. But overall, I kind of
Mhm.
like there's over time we see that there's more to her over time. The fact that like in understanding Willow, I guess we could talk about that since that's like one of the best episodes of the
Yeah.
season. I
Okay.
it involves Luz and Amity going inside Willow's brain after Amity somehow damaged her memories, which is the only
Okay,
thing
so
it
that
kind
part's
of
the part I don't. I don't like that. Like, I think what it leads to is great, but I think they could have had a better reason than, oh no, she wants to burn the embarrassing picture and
uh-oh.
accidentally fucking annihilates her
Yeah,
brain.
why would they even leave those out?
Whoopsie.
That's like the one
Also,
problem I have with the episode.
I don't like that world building wise. That's stupid. That
Yeah,
you
that's a
have
weird idea for a
like okay,
concept.
your memories could just be like burned or like think if
Could
they're just
be
on
burned
paper,
and yeah.
someone's mind could be destroyed so easily. It's just paper.
Yeah, like people could just
It's
walk
got
into there and then just burn the memories and then they just forget everything. Like why did they leave
exactly.
those unintended? Anyways, okay, we
Yeah,
still like the episode.
you
That's
know,
like
but
the
then
one
what it
problem we
leads
have with
to
it.
is really great. I like it when they
Yeah,
go and
it's they go
see.
inside Willow's head, and it's like a nice framing device and concept with her memory being like a bunch of frames of memories, and Amity and Luz having to fix it. With the reveal near the end that the only reason Amity has been being mean to Willow this whole time was because she was like have her parents always like gave her these insane expectations for her to live up to. So this forced her to not be friends with her anymore and like
Yeah,
yeah, she was doing it for her own good because apparently if they were still friends, that means her parents would get her out of school. So like, yeah, I can
yeah.
understand that. It gives her
I
more
find that
depth.
stuff because yeah, it's like it makes it more interesting than Amity's a jerk, but then she's not like that. It adds more like depth to that.
Yeah,
Like
you can tell she
she's
was
still
just
kind of
manipulated by her
she's still
parents.
kind of like an asshole, but she didn't really have a choice in the matter. Especially though she's like young, obviously she's gonna follow what her
Yeah, and
parents
it
are
leads to a
pressuring her to
generally
do.
nice emotional
Makes
moment.
sense.
So it
Yeah, no,
works
and then the
well.
ending's sweet when Willow and
Yeah.
Amity, yeah, they
And
go
that's
back and
probably
forth.
the
It's
yeah.
nice.
Despite the focusing on Willow, a character who doesn't have much depth over the course of the series, and it's not just the problem within this season, sadly. So yeah,
Yeah.
uh,
Arguably, it gets worse. Well, better and worse. It's complicated.
yeah,
But,
it's
yeah.
complicated. There's another
And the
good
other one,
episode, but yeah, there's another one. I guess we should we address the giant rainbow elephant in the room that
yeah, okay,
that
we
Disney
can talk about
hated
the gay.
and burned the elephant because they're homophobic.
Yeah,
Yeah, so apparently, over the course of the series, Amity develops a little crush on Luz, and it all culminates in this episode called Enchanting Grom Night Fright, yeah, that's what
yeah,
it's called. Um, where it's basically follows the plot of instead of it's like a prom, prom, blah blah blah, but except in this place, the prom queen needs to go under the school and has to kill this evil creature called the Grom that can turn into other people's worst nightmares. Like that's an actual cool concept that I think is done
see, I like
well.
that. Some of the world building in season one, I'm like a little hesitant on, but I like that.
That's the best hint. That's like a
It's
good
a cool
instance of
fantasy
world
concept they
building.
do
Yeah.
with it. I like that the way they tie it in with Luz and her like regrets about like leaving and not going to the camp, and they like do interesting stuff with
Yeah, like
that.
with her feeling
And then
guilty about her mom,
Yeah.
like her lying to her mom, because it's a realistic conflict for a girl her age to go through, and I think that's done well.
Yes, but yeah, I like that. And then just I love the whole like the dance part later with the really smooth animation. That
Yeah,
looks
it's
good.
done well,
I love that.
It's probably some
It,
of the best representation Disney has done. I
yeah.
mean, most of the
Oh,
time it's very subtle, it doesn't add much to the story, yet people continue to freak out about it. Like that stupid line from Onward that everyone just like,
yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah, see,
here,
see, here's Disney just loves being like they'll like pretend, oh, we care, but then like the only representation that's actually at the forefront and something that they care about. See, that's when we gotta pull the plug. No, no,
yeah, like
it's
that's,
too
I think that's
gay for
why
everyone.
Strange World had an openly gay character, because they had no hope in that movie doing well. That's why they
Yeah,
barely advertised it as well. That probably had something to
you
do
know
with
they
it.
hate gay people, so they're like, we're not gonna advertise
Yeah,
our
because
gay
usually the
movie.
time when they have that in a movie, it's like easily cuttable, like the stuff in Lightyear. But like here, it's a key plot point, so they can't cut it. Haha.
Where were the headlines of Disney talking about Owl House having this? No, exactly, there were none because they didn't talk about it because they hate gay people. Even though,
Except, yeah.
um,
Apparently,
I will
Dana
say
Terrace
though,
had to push really hard to even make this Lumity ship
no,
happen.
which is really weird. It's weird how they like pulled the plug, but still let it happen. It's like they were teasing her in a way. They're like, oh no, we'll give you it. And then they waited, and bam, now we're gonna take it down. It's like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, they
well, why
waited.
would you even like get her hopes up for that if you were just gonna ash it?
Yeah.
That
Oh,
that pisses me off. But oh well.
also in that, yeah. So that's kind of like foreshadows it. But if there's one issue I have with Lumity, while I think it leads to a nice episode, a nice scene between the two, I do think the point where um Amity starts developing romantic feelings for Luz can be a bit rushed. Cause like I
Thing
understand
is,
her
my
liking
thing
her
is,
now,
she's
but
barely in. She doesn't have enough episodes in season one for I think the turn to be as natural as they thought it did.
yeah.
And I like what it leads to. I think it's really
It
sweet.
leads
It's
to like
wholesome.
it leads to nice scenes, and it works well, especially in season two. So
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I love what comes with it. I just think, which actually, in fairness, maybe it wasn't developed that much because Disney didn't want to give it the attention it deserved or something. I don't
yeah.
know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like at the same time, I think it works well enough because like you see, Amity brings like Luz brings out the best in Amity, so that makes her feel
Yeah.
good, I guess, and like she doesn't know how to
No,
process
I
these new
think that's
feelings
natural. I just don't think there's enough of it, and it does
for
suck
it
because I
to
do
be.
think it's like
It's a good
it is
ship,
fun.
but
That's
it's
the
not
stuff in
something I kind of wish it was developed a bit more to the so
yeah.
like it
See,
would
that's
be
the
more
stuff in season one
satisfying.
I actually like. I think is interesting and I care about, but we just don't get like
Just don't
not
get enough
enough.
of it.
It's,
There's a ton of
yeah,
mediocre episodes. I guess we should talk about some of that. Like,
yeah.
what about the body swap one, which is kind of
Oh
sucks.
boy, I hate that episode.
It's
I know you're
bad.
like,
It's
oh, it's
not the
too.
worst thing
It
ever.
sucks.
It does kind of suck though. It's like I don't
No,
know.
I
Like
hate it because it's so casual. Like, okay, so the opening of the episodes, right? They're sitting there. He is at her like little hut or whatever. Which, by the way, that's inconsistent. Like sometimes she
yeah,
cares
yeah.
about how
Apparently
she's
she's a criminal.
wanted.
She said she's a
You know, but it's
criminal.
so they're so casual. Sometimes she treats that seriously,
Yeah, but at
but
the time
sometimes she's
has
just out and
no
about in
problem like
public.
yeah, she has no problem disguising herself. She mostly roams around all over town advertising her name. Like
And like
how has the scouts not been able to
and
capture
and the
her?
Emperor's Coven only chase her down sometimes. I don't get how that works at
Yeah, I don't know.
all,
Like I guess it makes
personally.
in season 2, I won't talk about it, but they slightly explain it more, but even then it still doesn't make too much sense, you know? Also in
Yeah.
that same episode, oh yeah, we didn't mention Lilith. Yeah, Ida has a sister named Lilith, and she also has a
It's okay.
curse, like an owl curse
Yeah.
that turns her into an owl beast. So there's also that.
I like Lilith way more after season one.
I
I'll
mean, I
just say
don't
that.
mind her in this season. I know some people hate her
She's
in this
okay.
season, but like, I think she's fine. I think I look her back at her much more fondly compared due to certain parts of season 2, which I know I keep
Yeah.
saying this a lot, but we'll get to later because like unlike movies, I mean sometimes with movies, but certain shows you can look back back at things like much when the entire series is finished because you could understand it more now.
See, I'm way more forgiving towards shows, I think, because if it picks up like a couple seasons in, I can forgive the whole thing, depending on like quality and stuff.
Yeah,
But yeah, I don't know. But anyway, back to the body swap episode. We got distracted.
it does kind
So
of suck
the
because
thing
it
that
doesn't
annoys
really do
me,
anything with the concept.
yeah,
Also, Lilith, Ida's sister, arrests Luz, who is in Ida's body, and for some
yeah,
reason
no,
she
and
can't
it's so
tell her.
stupid. I remember, like, there's a specific line where Ida's like, "Oh,
She doesn't even
well,
remember her
we'll
name.
lose
Like
in Ida's bodies." Like, "Oh, you're Ida's sister," and like Lilith's like, "Oh, she doesn't suspect anything." Like, okay,
it's just gonna
okay,
know.
sure.
And then it's
Then the
just like,
opening of it like makes me irrationally mad. I don't know
why?
why, but I hate it.
It's not
So then they're sitting.
terrible. It
There's
sucks,
no.
but
Let me keep going. Let me keep going.
okay.
So they're sitting in their little hut or whatever, and then they're just talking. They're like, "Oh man, my life sucks, boo hoo," and they're going like that for a bit, and then Ida's like, "You know how we could fix this? Body swap," and then they
Feels kind
swap
of
bodies. Like,
forced,
so,
yeah.
it's so casual, and also body swapping kind of breaks the world building. But, that's a whole other
That's,
can of worms.
I guess, like,
No, not it
oh
doesn't
yeah,
break the world building. I just don't know why it's so casual.
yeah.
And then
I
the
feel
one
like they
ending
could
where they
have used that
swap
at certain
everyone.
other points in the series.
Yeah,
Wait,
could have
oh
swapped
yeah.
bodies with
I
Bellos and
guess,
killed
I
them,
guess
but
to be fair, I guess, yeah, to be fair, though, also, did we, oh yeah, whatever, I'll just put spoilers, I
man,
mean,
listen,
let's
I
be
think we should just
honest.
stop adding spoilers. We spoil everything we talk
Yeah, I
about.
mean,
It
what
doesn't
am I
matter.
gonna break down the entire show without spoilers? Like, what, like,
Well, we can't do a show video about spoilers, you goofball.
yeah, you goof. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
yeah, so, yeah, spoilers, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, back to the show. Yeah, just kind of a bad generic
Mhm.
episode. And no, I only use generic when it's, like, really
I wouldn't
needed,
say
but,
well. I mean, it's kind of like a generic template, but I don't know that inherently
yeah,
makes
but
it
there just
bad.
isn't
There
anything
are shows I love
interesting
with
done
body
with
swap
it.
episodes, but
Yeah, won't
and
talk about it here, but, one small sneak peek of thoughts on the Gravity Falls video. Gravity Falls did a good job with the body swap trope.
no,
This show
and
is
say on that
not
they do
doing
the
well.
body swap and they do the shrinking one too.
The
That's
shrinking
the
one
only
is
other
just
episode.
whatever. I don't even hate it. It's just like it's just
I
there.
think it. Nah, see, for me it sucks because
Really,
that's not terrible. I think it's like a 4. It's not
it's a
awful.
five.
But see, what annoys me about it is they're like, okay, I like the Luz and King dynamic. They do some stuff that I think that's sweet,
King
but
gets
then they're like,
jealous. Both are
oh,
the
hey, oh
friends. They
no,
shrink.
Luz is spending too much time with Willow and Gus. Boo hoo.
Yeah, it's
And then that
just
becomes the
time.
conflict. And
Yeah,
it's like,
I don't know. I don't care. Anyways, I think we're talking too much about both of those episodes since they're not even worth discussing because
if
they're
they're like
just
the only bad episodes of the well, yeah,
well,
they're the only ones I
yeah.
think are like outright bad. The
The
rest are
Mana
like
swap kind of sucks in the really
terrible.
the it's not that terrible. I think you're a tad over
No,
exaggerating the switching of bodies episode. No offense, but
no,
I think the shrinking one is also just not
sucks.
very good either. It's not terrible. Nothing inherently that thing that annoyed me.
No, I
Like
don't
there's
think the
some
shrinking one's
stupid
that
stuff,
bad. I just
but
think it sucks. It
okay.
annoys me.
Yeah. How about we
Probably irrationally, but it does.
Yeah, there's also
It
some
don't.
other mid episodes, such as the one where Luz takes Ida's palisman thing, who's an owl, who stole her book in the first episode, um,
Mm.
for a joyride with Willow and Gus, and they get lost, and some bat thing like steals it. They put it for test. I don't know. I don't give a shit about that. And then there's
That
the
one's like,
I kind of like the plot with King, with King trying to like destroy kids at the park using the owl beast. That was kind of funny, but
yeah,
still
no, I like
very
that.
very mediocre. Another mediocre
Uh,
one was there's a I don't know. There was the one where Luz just kind of wanders into this wizard quest thing. I guess I don't know. It's like a decent second episode, I guess. But she goes on this wizard quest. Turns out it was all a trick and all just a scam by this monster thing. And then Yeah, I don't know. It's just like
Uh,
there's just nothing special about most of these episodes. They're just
I
kind
don't
of
know.
serviceable, perfectly fine characters. There isn't really any interesting character building yet. So, I mean, I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Like, it doesn't always have to be like this, but like, I don't know. The characters in this, I'm fine with most of them. Edith's,
Yeah,
I don't mind Ida. I think she works well. There's
it
some
is
funny
all right.
comedic moments here. I think she's developed much better in season two, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Ida is funny to me because she's voiced by BoJack's mom on BoJack
Oh,
Horseman, and that makes me laugh
yeah.
for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, what was I gonna say? Uh, See, no, yeah, okay, yeah. So the thing is, to do another quick comparison to the other two, this will be brief. But the thing is, the reason frankly, I enjoy Amphibia and Gravity Falls' first seasons significantly more is because in Amphibia, I basically love all the characters, but especially I like seeing Anne and Sprig just talk. I think it's charming.
I
It's
think we're
really fun
spoiling too
for me.
much about
And
that.
with Gravity Falls, it's kind of the same thing with Dipper, Mabel, Grunkle, all the main guys. But Owl
Yeah.
House, I don't think Owl House has that automatic benefit to me like the other shows
I'm not
do. So it's like
attached
okay,
to any of the characters too much. Like, most of the season
I
is
love King,
perfectly.
but not
Yeah, I
like
like
it's not
King.
all of them.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's
I
the
like
goat.
Amity enough. Loses it perfectly fine. Luz and Ida have occasional charming moments, and Willow and Gus are there. I don't mind Lilith in this season. I actually don't mind her with her like doing whatever it can to cure Ida's curse, I guess, and like I don't know. Like, I like the idea of her instead of just being like an evil rogue sister. All she really wants is just to help her sister, with her being against it because she doesn't want to be restricted of her own ways and wants to be more free with herself. I think that's a decent idea for a conflict. It's not amazingly fleshed out, but I think it decently works well for me. I don't hate her as a character, and though that might be a look back at her more fondly due to the quality of season two and three, though. That might be a
Yeah,
part of the
no, I
reason.
I don't think that's a bad conflict. They're just like still inconsistent with it in this season. Like a lot of the time, Lilith will just like show up and be like, "Ida, come with us,"
Yeah, I
and
think
Ida will be
it's
like,
yeah, she
"No,
just kind of shows up,
don't
and
do
also
that."
like
And then she'll leave, and then she only actually does something in like the last couple episodes.
yeah,
Like so
another
it's like an
stupid thing
okay
about the body swap
conclusion.
episode is that like when Ida when Lilith kidnaps Ida, who has Luz in Ida's body, like they don't take her just back to the Emperor's like coven prison. Instead, they just like take her to this like interrogation room. Like I feel like it shouldn't be this hard for Lilith to capture or like Ida. I don't know. I think they could have done more with like pacing this conflict out. And I think in pacing, it's
Yeah,
just kind
no,
of
no,
too
I
fast. Like I
feel like they
said,
kind of had to like drag some of this to fit a full season because like I don't know. Realistically, if they were actually trying, Ida should be like caught immediately if she's like this on the run and Lilith tries to get her this many times. But though they don't really like I don't know. Maybe dragged out's the wrong word. I just don't think that
yeah,
after a while you kind of get the pattern of it and it's like okay, sure,
yeah. It's
more
like
of this.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't really hate. I don't. It's fine. This is just fine. I don't know. There's the occasional good episode, like I stated. I don't mind the one where King becomes a novel writer. I like understanding
I
Willow and
mentioned that.
enchanting Gromfrite.
See,
And
those are the three that I'm like into. Those are the ones that I really
yeah,
like.
I
Like the
actually
rest
don't
are like,
mind the
eh.
convention one when we introduce Lilith because it kind of does a good job of establishing both characters, even though they're not like
It's all right.
developed perfectly in this season, I guess. I don't mind the one where they do the sleepover ritual, and I don't know, that might be because I find the title funny, called Hootie's Moving Castle, a parody of
Oh, no,
Howl's Moving Castle.
I'm not. I don't think I like that one
You
very
know,
much.
really? It's fine. It's alright.
It's okay.
I
It's like,
enjoy
oh,
it. I don't know.
I don't like the turn it takes. Oh, the house is alive,
House
and
is a
now
lot. Yeah, it's not great. It's just
it's gonna
fine.
roam
I
around
don't
the
know. It just
town.
some. I just
Like, okay,
sometimes. It just that episode has the occasional okay moment, and in general, most episodes are just kind of
fair enough. I don't.
fine.
It's okay.
It's all fine. This is fine. This is a fine kid show. This is perfectly
It's an
enjoyable.
okay
Had the
season.
occasional charming
Uh,
moment, perfectly served characters. Yeah. What about what was
yeah,
another one? Also, there's some like weird stuff with the world and building, like you stated. Like in the
yeah.
episode,
No, the world building is
in
it's
one
just
of the
weird.
episodes,
I don't.
first day, that's what's called the first day, where Luz attends magic school called Hexhide. Um, apparently
Mhm.
the principal just randomly lets her study every covenant of magic for some
Yeah, no. And
reason.
so even though they like specify that
Shouldn't
everyone
that
else
isn't
is
that
like,
illegal
oh no,
or
you can only
something?
pick. No, they specify you can only pick one
Yeah,
coven
and for some reason by the end of
because
it, he
Luz
just
just
like
shows
completely
up
changed his mind.
and kind of convinces her she's able to do all of them, even though realistically, like, has anyone? Do you really think no one else has ever like tried to like want more of
Yeah,
them?
I guess she
No,
could just kind of do
it
it.
is it's stupid. Kind of a little
Yeah.
convenient, as the
And
term
like it said,
goes.
some like pacing issues, like with the like I don't know. I like the Lumity ship most of the time, but I feel like it could have been more developed in this season. Like I think it's done
Yeah,
well
they
enough.
should have just had more Amity this season, and least of like the. I forget the exact stuff, but some of it I think she only has like a handful of episodes
Yeah,
of
there's this
prominence
one
before
episode
this.
where like yeah, this is other part like in the episode where Luz and Ida go up on the mountains to like study magic, and for some reason Luz being annoyingly incompetent in that episode literally awakens a beast using the wand because she's impatient, which I feel like at this state in the show it doesn't feel like something she would really do. I don't know.
And
It's like
do this like at least a couple episodes in. I feel like she'd have to
yeah, I
like
get it. She doesn't
learn
want to
at
be in
least
like the
somewhat.
preschool class
Find
at
out.
the witch school, but it still just doesn't feel like something she would do based off of the how they
Yeah.
established her in like the first couple episodes of the series. Um, the library one was
Mhm.
okay. The one where we are introduced to Amity's siblings, who
All
honestly,
right.
what was weird about that episode is that like they're really mean. Like they really literally try to steal her diary and read it out in front of like
Yeah,
everyone. Like they make them better
they're
characters later on, but like in that episode, it's like okay,
they're
that's a
nowhere
bit
near that
much.
much of an asshole later,
Yeah, they're
but
completely
yeah,
different later, but in like this episode, it's like
I
what?
like them as characters
Yeah, but
later.
it's just in this episode, it's like okay, that's a bit extreme, reading her diary in front of everyone. Like sure, she's a bit mean at
It's a little
times.
much,
Also, you
too
think based off
much,
of
too
like
much.
since you're like of the same family as her, you should probably understand that her parents like have these high expectations for her, which makes you like kind of understand her character more. And I
I wasn't
think it
even
makes
thinking
me
about that too.
adhere to her more. Because like instead of being a
Yeah,
stereotypical bully character, she never really was mean, and she was just always like forced into this. She never really even liked the people she hanged out with, and I guess I could understand her liking Luz in some way because like she can actually connect to her, she could just be herself around her. It's nice, it's a nice arc, not mind-blowing, but it works for what it is. um
yeah,
yeah, I don't know, there isn't too much else to say. This is probably the season I
uh,
have the least amount to say about now that I
I
think about it.
agree.
It's like it's
Uh,
it's just fine, it's perfectly
I think a lot of it is just saying like it's fine for now, but like the thing is,
gets
I
better
remember.
later.
Okay. Here's the thing. If you want to get into like wrapping up and stuff now, we I think we can.
Yeah,
I think I
soon. I
might
have
have
a
one
couple
more
more
quick
things
thing
to
to say.
say. Like the finale. We gotta talk
You
about the
can say.
finale as well, so we'll get to that
Look,
soon.
before we talk about the finale, what are your thoughts on Basha, the
Yeah,
character?
the oh yeah, long story short,
So,
I forgot about her name until season 3, but that's another thing we'll talk about later. She's in the
on
oh
the
yeah,
Basha thing, I'll come back to. It'll come full circle at the
yeah,
end.
she's like in
I'll say as
the
I keep a note of her. 'Cause
she's an
I have words
annoying,
about
she's
that.
like the character that you think that Amity was gonna be, but apparently luckily she wasn't. So
Hmm.
yeah, they give her this one episode like about it's a generic sports episode. It's whatever, another mediocre episode of
All
this mostly
right.
fine season. Should we just talk about
Yeah.
the finale now? I mean, because I remember
Yeah. Sure. We'll
I
have to.
really liked this season when I first watched it, but now I just look back at it and there isn't really anything, especially compared to the rest of the show. Because
Honestly, I think
spoilers,
that
it
was it
gets
because I remember
much
when I
better later.
first. Thing is, I remember when I first watched season one, I gave it a 7 because I'm like compared to everything else, it's like okay, I didn't have expectations for what the Owl House like could be, and even at the time, I was like, well, this ain't no Amphibia, it ain't no Gravity Falls. This is still all right. So I had it at like a 7. Then, like, I think now that I have the full context of like Owl House as an overall show, I'm like, this isn't as
Did
good
alright.
anymore.
No.
I have like a lower. We'll get into ratings later.
Yeah,
but,
especially compared to
yeah.
how good it gets in the future. This like kind of looks very
Yeah.
the emotional stuff in this season that works at sometimes isn't quite as good. But yeah. Anyways, I guess we'll talk about the finale now.
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of
The
split up into
finale
two
is
parts.
also all right,
It's
but it
it's a
has
mixed
weird
bag.
plot
It has a
issues.
couple of good stuff here and there. But yeah, so basically what happens is that Lilith kidnaps Luz while they're on like this trip to the Emperor's Covenant. What is the Emperor's Covenant? Well, it's like the main ruler of the Boiling Isles, warned by the main antagonist of the series, Emperor Bellows, who doesn't really have much screen time in this season, but gets much more depth in season 2 and 3. That is done really well. We'll get to that. Yeah, honestly, in this season, Emperor Bellows makes a good introduction. I think the Matthew Rhys performance is done really well. Matthew Rhys, the actor who plays it, he does a good job with him. We also see him having a blue eye, Sans from Undertale reference that people have been memeing.
Whoa.
Sans from Undertale.
Bellows is kind of like Sans. Is this Bellows Ness?
No. Yeah. It's a fine finale. They write Amity out. That's fine, I guess. She wouldn't probably do much in the finale, let's be honest. But it mainly focuses on Lilith and Ida. Because apparently, you know how I mentioned that Ida has a owl beast curse that she was given when she was younger? Well, it turns out Lilith was the one who cursed her. So, yeah, that was something. And the way she says it to her is just really weird. Like, why were you so easy
like
to
talking
curse?
normally.
Like, really?
And then she like she like casually is like, oh, I did it.
That's,
like random
with
like
her, like they give
I don't
her,
think that wasn't if they're gonna reveal that info, that's not a natural way to like display it. I don't
know.
like
I actually don't mind her redemption. Like, I think they definitely were setting up that she was never really a villain and that she was just really trying to help her sister. So it makes sense why she'd be redeemed, I guess. And I don't really hate the way they redeem her, to be honest. I don't know.
You know, I think it makes sense. I don't think any of the stuff I think the concept that Lilith was the one who cursed Ida, like, it works fine. I think like the way they reveal it and the way they go about it is a little weird. Yeah. But like I like what it kind of leads to later, but they just don't do a good job at presenting it, at least here.
Yeah.
You know, I don't mind Lilith as a character.
Yeah, she's fine in this season. She gets better later, but yeah. I think what makes her character better is like the whole thing with the Emperor, with her like honestly, I basically knew that the Emperor was not going to give Ida free her from her curse, because the Emperor promised Lilith. Yeah, no,
that seemed very easy.
Yeah, that was pretty obvious. Let's be honest. That she'd be tricked, and that redeems Lilith, I guess, and they forgive her, I guess, blah blah blah. I don't know. Yeah, it's fine. Also, the confrontation between Lilith and Ida, besides that line where she says, "Why were you so easy to curse?" was kind of stupid, but it did lead to a pretty sick fight scene. Let's be honest. I guess we should talk about some of the technical aspects of the Owl House. Animation wise, pretty good.
What do you
really
fluid. Art style? I think it
has a nice art style, a nice color palette, and I think that it could get really smooth at times, especially during the action scenes, and the fight scene between Lilith and Ida is really well animated.
Yeah. This is something people focus on a lot, but I like the music.
I like the intro, outro theme.
The credits are really relaxing. I like.
Yeah, it's a nice. I really like the outro theme. Yeah, it definitely is something I could see people looking back at fondly. It has a nice whimsical feeling to it that works really well.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What else is there? There's the animation, music. Voice
We talked
acting
about
is.
the
Yeah, we kind of talked about voice acting.
everyone does a good job.
Everyone does a good
Alex Hirsch
job.
steals the
Alex
show.
Hirsch, yeah,
I
steals
love
the
him.
show. Matthew Rhys is good as Bellows. Wendy Malick works
Yeah,
well as Ida a lot of the time.
yeah.
Yeah, works.
Bojack.
I'd say it
Yeah,
works.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the technical aspects. Honestly, it remains consistent throughout the entire show, though the animation
Yeah.
gets much more smoother later on, but still works really well in this season
They
alone,
get
so I'll give
smooth
it that.
sometimes. It looks
Looks
cool.
pretty sick. Sick. It's, I don't know. Also, a weird thing about, like, the season finale, with the whole thing, with, with the fight between Bellos and Luz, I think, like, like, had
No, she's too over.
there is no way
No,
she could
no.
like be that
I
close to
don't buy
beating
the
him.
idea that Lou. The thing is, Bellows is like literally like he's the main antagonist and
He's like
has all
the
this power.
emperor.
And
He
Luz,
rules the
okay,
boiling. He
and
practically rules
I
the
think is
boiling
Luz is
ocean.
technically learned spells, but I didn't bring this up. A lot of the season is spent with Ida being lazy and not teaching her
Yeah,
anything,
so
and we
well,
don't
they
even
just
see much
found
of her at
the things
Hexside
off
really.
herself. Like she uses
So
magic doing these glyphs. So like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's how that
You don't really.
works.
I don't think we see enough of Luz like actually like learning magic for this to be believable.
Yeah.
So
Also,
it's
there's
just
that weird thing like
weird.
where Ida's about to get executed for with Bellows, but and then like for some reason everyone starts cheering to let her go, and it's like that's a bit forced. Like really, like is that
No,
really?
the thing is, I don't buy it because throughout most of the season, none of them care about Ida. But no, I
Yeah,
guess Willow gives an inspiring speech, and now they all
inspiring
support her now.
speech. Yeah. Now they all cheer to
You
let
know,
Ida
and
go.
yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of
and
forced.
also in season 2, they go back to treating her like shit again in the first episode. But
Kind
that's
of,
another
but
thing.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
not that big of a problem though, so it's
it,
not a huge deal. But yeah, I don't know. It's like it's a fine finale. Also, Luz destroys the portal to get her home. I guess. Okay, that was a
I think
choice. I guess
that's a
it kind
little.
of makes sense
I
because like
think that's a
someone like
little.
Bellows, I guess you could tell that she thought that he probably had some sinister plans of what he was gonna do with the portal. So like just destroyed
I
it for
think
the
it
sake
makes
of it.
sense. I will say.
It kind of
I
makes
think it's
sense.
a little forced because like I don't buy her attachment to all of them. Realistically, it's been
Yeah,
like
I understand
a
Ida
couple months
caring
at
for
most,
Luz now,
and
but
then we
like
don't have like she doesn't have a confirmation. She eventually is able to get a portal, but she doesn't have the confirmation that there will be one.
yeah,
It's
so.
a little forced,
Yeah,
but
tad bit, but yeah, I don't know. It's a fine finale. So no, no, there's a fair share of writing problems. The three main ones we just mentioned. Lilith has an okay redemption that I didn't mind. I guess. I kind
it's
of like the
all.
joke where I don't know, even though it doesn't make sense with Luz and King getting stepping on grass when they're not supposed to, and that just gets them arrested for some reason. Like it's kind of dumb, but I don't know. I thought it was funny. There's the occasional funny joke or charming moment, and some enjoyable characters, but it's overall a fine season of television. Have anything else to say?
Yeah, yeah. I nah. I think I covered my ground pretty well.
Yeah.
One of them was another comparison thing to the other shows, but I think I might just get to that when we talk about those said other
Yeah.
shows.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, you ready to want to get into ratings and move
Yeah,
on to
yeah.
season
We're
2?
left on a cliffhanger with apparently now with Lilith and Ida now sharing the Owl Beast course, which is a nice callback because we see in like this montage of like them sharing pain every now and again due to this spell that Lilith knows. That was a nice detail. And then like
Yeah,
and now Ida and now they don't know magic anymore and now Lucy needs to teach them in the next season, kind of, so that's what we're left with for next season, and hopefully more development of Bellows, who is kind of the main emperor and antagonist of the show, who will get more screen time and more development in season two. So
yeah.
don't worry about that. I'll give
Yeah, all
this.
right, so can we do ratings now?
I'll give it a 6 out of 10. 6 out of
I
10.
would go a middling 6. It's not a bad season.
Not really
I
anything
hesitate to call it.
terrible. Has its
I
occasional good
hesitate to
episode.
call it bad. I think a lot of it is just perfectly serviceable, but unlike the other shows, I I wasn't able to get attached to anyone enough to be like, yeah, I really, really want to watch a bunch of this. So
Yeah.
like I think it does its job fine, and it's like there are worse ways you can start a show, but it overall
It's
it's
a
just
decent
okay.
start to the show. Decently introduces the world, I guess. So yeah, the Owl House season
The
one.
idea of
It's
middle
all
of
right.
low six, uh,
Oh,
but
6. I'm gonna give it a
now
6. Middle
season
6.
two
Oh,
on the other
yeah,
yeah
season 2. I guess
season
we'll get
two
to
on the
season
other
2
hand,
now.
mwah, this
Great
is
Chef's Kit. This
this is
is
when
a
the Owl House gets
huge
way
improvement. I am
and now
so. This
things
is
get way
great. This
better
is
here.
when
I
this is when
love
the show
season
gets
two.
good.
This is great.
I'm not gonna say
Yeah.
every episode of season 2 is good. I'm gonna say every episode of season
Yeah,
2
there
is
isn't
good.
a weak link for
Yeah,
me
there's some
personally.
that I like more than others. But literally the lowest scores of season 2 episodes are 7 out of 10s, which is like
Yeah,
pretty impressive, especially compared to season 1 episodes. So like a
yeah.
huge step up.
Season two is where most of my favorite episodes come from. It has my
There's
favorite
some
in the whole
generally
show. Again.
amazing character building episodes in this
Oh
season,
yeah,
and it's the exact stuff I wanted from season 1. So
yeah,
let's
yeah.
talk about
See,
let's
this is
talk
when I
about these.
actually started like caring about everyone like way more,
Yeah, I think
just
I
from the
like every
beginning.
character much more now. I mean, I
Yeah,
guess
and also it
Willow and
introduces
Gus still don't get too
more
much, but
unique
still.
characters.
Yeah, we
We
get
got a
new.
hunter
We
now.
get Hunter. We'll talk more about
We
him
got
soon.
Rain.
Rain.
Yeah.
What else was there?
Uh, is there another one? I feel like I'm
There
missing a
was more.
third
There's
new
probably
lead.
more. Like we get more
Oh
introduced.
no, V. Yeah, we get V.
Yeah, we
And
get her. In that one episode. Um. We get more info on parents of the parents of Ida and Lilith. Uh, and we got more arcs for the characters to explore. So, like,
yeah,
I guess I'll talk
I think
about.
everyone has something more interesting this season to do, and that's to
Yeah,
make like it has like my I think my favorite arc is King's arc.
yeah.
I
King has a
love
great
that
arc
stuff
in this
so
season,
much
and it's done really
because like
well.
it's great because like he finally eventually he learns that he's like well first you get the episode where he learns he's not actually the king of demons.
Which is a
This
great
is just something
episode.
Ida came up with to like make him feel better, and that's like I love that episode. It's like, it makes sense as a reveal because you can kind of pick it up. He's a scrawny little guy. He wasn't gonna be like this fucking king or anything. It doesn't. You can kind of pick that up, but they do it in a really nice way. At first, King's in like denial about it. He
Yeah,
eventually
it's
has
like
like
Alex
self-esteem
Hirsch is
problems
like
over it.
also selling this performance well.
Oh, he because mostly he's comedic in the first season, really, but then
Yeah.
like he sells this dramatic stuff really well. I love that, and like, the conclusion with it with Ida and Kay. I think it's really sweet. I
Yeah.
love that
Uh-huh.
episode, and then eventually later when he finds out he's a Titan and all that, and then it turns out he's actually has some sort of like
Yeah. I
position, but
actually
then he realized he doesn't actually want that because like he only kind of thought he wanted it, but now that everyone treats him as like a higher being, he doesn't realize he doesn't
yeah.
like that. And
That's
I find that
revealed.
stuff
Yeah, that's
super
like his arc
compelling. I
over the
love
course of
that.
the season when it turns out he's a Titan, which like the Boy and Lyles was like made from the dead body of like a giant Titan, and that's how it's formed. So like he's the son of the Boiling Isles, which is like an interesting arc for him. And like I think the first
Yeah,
episode leaves like a nice impression. Like you can tell that Luce is like more capable and matured over the time. And I like the idea of her trying to help, like just trying to help Ida and Lilith. And I also like the side plot with Lilith, with her like trying to be useful again. And honestly, she ends
I
up
find
more.
Lilith
Yeah,
way
Lilith's
better
a
this
better
season.
like I already didn't mind her in season 1, but I think I'm starting to like her much more in this season because I think like
Yeah,
I like
I like the dynamic she forms with like Luz
Hootie.
throughout the season.
Yeah,
Yeah, oh yeah, and Hootie.
Hootie.
I
Yeah,
don't
we
like. Okay.
haven't
Oh
mentioned
wait, we
Hootie.
forgot about Hootie.
Yeah, so Hootie is
Hootie
like
is
the
okay.
literal owl house beast who like lives in it. Like he's the door. He's the door. He's just the
Okay.
door. And he
I
has
only really
the
like
yeah. Go
I
on.
only really like Hootie in one episode,
We'll talk
and we'll
about
get
that
to
in a
that.
bit, which is
Yeah,
probably the episode that
I
got the
think
show
Hootie is
canceled.
okay. He's not as annoying as I thought he
Yeah,
would
he
be,
could be much
but
more annoying, but
I
he
don't think Hootie deserves the hype the Owl House fandom gives him. That's all I'll say. He's
I don't
okay.
mind him as a character, and he isn't really that annoying. And he has the occasional good moment, like I like his weirdly wholesome friendship he forms with Lilith. I thought that was nice. I like how Lilith becomes more of like a
That's
nerd,
cute.
like a nerdy character, and like you can tell that
Yeah,
she's
I like.
definitely grown to appreciate more
I
people
find that
around her.
charming. She just like goes around the house. She's trying to like clearly form better like relationships with everyone
Yeah.
afterwards. I think it's nice.
The writing has
Mm,
taken a massive step up, like just from the first episode
yeah.
with like how they introduce characters like the Golden Guard, who is also Hunter, which is a character we'll probably be talking a lot about because he's one of
We'll
the
talk
he's
about it.
probably my favorite character on the show, if I'm being honest, next to
He is
characters
my
like
second
King.
favorite behind King. Love
King's also great.
King.
He also has a great. Almost everyone has a good arc. Like I mean, like
Yeah.
Willow and Gus are still kind of sidelined, but Gus like gets like 2 episodes of his own, that are pretty good. Yeah. Willow still
Yeah.
doesn't get much though.
Eh.
She gets like
Okay, here's the
she
thing.
gets
Thing
half
is,
of an episode dedicated to herself.
comes about Hunter, which is the thing is, I like Willow. I think
It's not
whenever
a
the
bad
show tries
character.
doing, I think when the show does something with Willow, it's great. But thing is, they just never do, and it's like, I think is I don't mind because I just love all the arcs this
Yeah.
season. So it's like, yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I guess if we had to sacrifice the Willow arc for like the King plot, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But still, it's like, she kind of gets something in season 3, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, a
Uh,
little, at least they give her something a little. It's not like amazing, but still. There's some fair share
mhm.
of generally amazing episode. Like the episode Ida's Requiem, that was generally
Oh, that one's
phenomenal. I
fantastic.
think what was good, that introduces like Ida's love interest named Rain, who is like head of one of the main covens, which are all just like made of different types of magic. That Bellows gives like the sigil thing that restricts her type of magic and stuff. And now Rain is a part of a rebellion against the coven, and then we see Ida and like Rain joining together to like stop the Emperor and whatnot. And it's like
Yeah,
generally compelling the way they like perfectly display this relationship between the two of them. And I really like Ida's arc of her knowing that both Luz and King may be leaving because oh yeah, also since Luz destroyed the portal in the season 1 finale, she's now trying to find a different way to get back home. So that's like her main arc of this season, and it's also done really well in
yeah,
that particular episode. In general, every character is better now. Like even
yeah.
Willow and Gus, who are characters I still don't care for too much in this season, but Gus gets 2 nice episodes, such as the one where he's like recruited into this like
He also
magic
gets a
gang.
new voice.
Yeah, he
He
gets
has
a new voice. Oh yeah, he gets a
the
new
glow up
voice.
in
Yeah.
Gus' voice
Apparently,
is
he goes through puberty and now he has a
he
different
goes through
voice. I
puberty,
forgot
which
about
is like
that.
I've that's like it's so different, and like
Yeah,
I
it
don't
is kind of
mind, but
distracting.
like if you watch a season 1 episode and a season 2 one with Gus, it's practically unnoticeable. It's like
Yeah.
it happened. He's
Uh,
different now.
yeah. But they develop him more. Like he's a part of the. There's this episode where he joins like this squad who's trying to like steal magic things. I guess he also meets this other kid at the school. Who I have no idea how to pronounce his name. So
You just call him Matt.
Matt.
You talking about him? Matt Bartholomew.
Matholomew, that's his name? Matholomew?
Yeah,
Okay, that's a weird.
yeah.
Okay, that's his name. Alright, let's go with that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know, he doesn't do much. He's just kind of
He's
just
all
one of the
right.
side characters, I guess. But yeah, animation, music, acting,
Well,
all
that's
still
the
good. All
same.
still good. All that stuff is good. The animation in certain sequences are even more fluent. Like
I love the one part of like Eclipse, like the Amity Hunter battle. I love
yeah,
that
I
part.
like that
It's
episode. It's
really
nice to see
like
parallels
smooth.
between Amity and Hunter and like how they relate from each other. Speaking of that, why don't we talk about Hunter? Let's talk
Okay,
about
now Hunter
Hunter's a good character. He's a
is
good
one of my
character.
favorite characters. I love him in season 2
Yeah,
and
he's a great
three.
character. I generally think he's like one of the best well-written ones. Like he's the Golden
Yeah,
Guard. He's supposedly a relative of the main antagonist, Emperor Bellos, who is revealed that Bellos has this like curse thing, like Ida, that's like out of control, and and to keep it at bay, he needs these like blood of like these magic inside of talisman, and yeah, like the
yeah.
episode where yeah, I like the dynamic between Luz and Hunter, and I think it's established
Yeah.
well in the first episode, only to be
No, that
expanded upon.
episode's great when they like introduce them, because
Yeah, fully introduce him.
he acts
Yeah,
like he has like all this like kind of respect and power and everything, but in reality he's just kind of lame. He's kind of
kind
like a
of a
little,
normal boy,
little
honestly. Like
he's just
even Luz
kind of a
knows that.
guy, and like yeah, he's kind of a
Yeah, because
little
when you see
dork.
him,
But
you
then
think this
like
is he's like this respective heavy knight, and we see him like
no, but then
grapple
like
with
right
that.
when he doesn't have the armor on, no one cares about him.
Yeah, because
He's
like if he,
disrespected by the
yeah,
goat Kikimora.
yeah,
No one like cares about him then. And then eventually you get to see like eventually his turn. I love that. Hollow Mind is one of the best
oh
episodes
yeah,
of the
I
show.
want to save that
He's
near the
like
end. Do you mind
turning
if we
point.
say that
Oh
near the
yeah,
end? Because that's like a
we can
huge
hold on
game
that.
changer. That's a
Yeah.
game changer of the entire
And that's
series.
like the turning point in the
Yeah,
Hunter
but he has like a
storyline.
great arc about
Um,
like belonging and feeling useful and not being wanting to treat like pathetic. Because like he doesn't know, he tries his best to be useful to the Emperor because that's how he's been raised to be. You know, he's been
yeah,
raised in this unintentionally toxic, in this toxic work environment that's lead him into this like path of like wanting to like belong and feel you and never want to be useless. And I think that's established well in the Talisman episode where he meets Luz and they realize that he's kind of impressed about the way she's kind of using magic. And it's clear that Luz has started to mature with like she's much more competent now, you know, you could tell.
he
She's,
didn't make
she's
like
definitely
dumbass. Well,
grown.
actually, she makes one dumbass mistake, but most of it, she's like she's like yeah, more competent, and then it makes her more like entertaining and interesting as a character and the way
Yeah.
that plays off Hunter. And then like because he's like becomes so like conditioned between like how that like society like or like system Belos is built up is he doesn't even like start questioning it until like he starts talking with Luz and eventually the other main characters. And yeah, that
Uh,
I just love that about the show. He's also one of the most charming characters to me.
Yeah, I like the
Especially later.
relationship he forms with like this redbird talisman thing that he calls Flapjack. You know,
Oh yeah,
I
Flapjack.
like how he's
Oh, we
just
love
able to
Flapjack.
grow for like out the series. You know, he ends up getting more and more away from the Emperor's Coven, but doesn't want to lose respect to him because like you know he does his best to like he thinks what he's doing is right, but slowly starts to learn the truth over time and starts
Mm,
questioning his authority
yeah,
and become more of his own person and
yeah, it's
finds the
great.
sense of belonging that he never knew he wanted. It's generally done really well.
You know, I love it because Belos just obviously he wants him to be like this like heartless soldier who doesn't question anything, and he basically gets that because Hunter doesn't question any of what he's
Hunter
doing until
tries to
like,
be
he
that, but like
becomes.
he starts to like resist the control over the Emperor over the series, and it's done really well. And I think
Oh yeah, I love
that's what
it.
works so well about his arc, and I think it like that's what makes him such a great character. Is like just you know I think you can definitely connect to him and sympathize him in a lot of ways, and I think it makes him probably one of
Yeah.
the best characters written. Same with Ida. Ida's done really well in this season with her like
But I like Ida much more than in season one. Now
yeah, I
she gets a
thought she
lot
was
of.
fine in season one. Occasional funny moment. But now she's like, there's actual more depth to her. Because in season one,
I think it's mainly because now I think I buy her relationship with Luz much more, so I'm able to like care a lot
yeah,
more.
she's
Like, yeah,
acting much.
but this point you can tell that she like
There's much
yeah,
more
but
episodes that see her acting more as a motherly figure to her, which I think that's done well. I think
yeah,
that's like much more believable than it was in the finale because we see like Ida definitely feeling like more connected to Luz now, you know? Because like there are moments like that in season one, but now after the finale,
yeah,
it makes me understand why they would be more connected and like care more for each other now. So I think it
Yeah.
just works well. And then there's what they do with the Lumity thing that has been such a big thing for the series, and I think soon we should talk about how Disney canned this show and what
We
happened
should
with
talk
it.
about that in between seasons 2 and 3.
Yeah, I
It
think
feels
that would
like
be
our
good with
natural
it. Probably
point to
near the
talk
end
about
of
it.
the season 2 segment, since that's when it was
Yeah,
like
but
announced. But yeah. So
apparently, the shortening and stuff they only found out after finishing the first half of season 2, and then they wrote the second half around that. At least that's what I've heard.
yeah.
So that's
All right. Yeah.
yes, but
So yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
uh, so
Yeah.
what were you gonna say? Keep going.
Yeah, so the thing
Uh,
stuff with Lumity I think is expanded upon pretty well in this season. Um they yeah, in this one episode where we meet Amity's parents, like they show how much how manipulative they are, and like it's you can understand why she would want to continue to resist that control over time due to like Lou's bringing out the best in her, but at the same time that makes her like do stupid
yeah,
things out of love for her. And I think that's a good inner conflict that makes me like enjoy the relationship more and kind of makes up for
yeah.
like how the pacing, like, sure, it made me, I didn't mind like them being a thing, but like I could have thought in the first season it could have been built up well. But I think they do a good job
In
at it expanding it in this season.
ultimately, I can forgive that at least this season because I really like
Yeah,
all the stuff it comes to. I've heard some people criticize. I've heard some people say that they don't like Amity from this point because her character becomes solely focused on her
really.
relationship with Luz. You know, I've heard people say that it's like
There's
because
this one
she don't like her.
episode though. I think they create the relationship really well. Like it happens, and
You know, I think it's well done. People just don't like that. They say that's all her character is after this point, which I
no,
wouldn't agree with.
I kind of
No.
disagree on that. But yeah, yeah,
She still gets great stuff with everyone else. That's just like the forefront. And I just think it's really, I think it's sweet. It's nice to watch.
yeah,
Cute. But it
yeah,
has leads
wholesome.
to one of
Yeah,
the best episodes.
the
Knock,
Hootie
knock,
one.
knocking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I kind of like that because then with Hootie like unintentionally helping people with like
Yeah.
it does a good job at progressing like the story with also being just kind of fun with like
Yeah. Like I said, oh, yeah.
King
Like I said
learning
before.
more about himself. Okay, go on.
Yeah.
Just-
That's because like I said, I'm not huge on Hootie still. But I know this is the one episode I really like him in. I think it's charming. He likes to like he's trying to like help everyone out. And at first it looks like he fucked everyone over, but in reality
Yeah, he helped King
he
learn
kind of
who
helped
he
everyone.
was.
And then just the ending's nice. Like, aw,
Yeah, then
Luz and
yeah,
Amity
Luz
are
and
gay.
Amity are finally
They have their own
together. They
thing.
just completely do it
Yeah.
because usually I notice I don't watch a lot of TV, but I've seen like I know it's like a trope that they usually do save this like couple thing for happening near the finale, I guess. But in here, nope, they just like make
Amphibia
their
does
thing.
this actually. Do another
Kind
comparison.
of,
The
kind of. I don't
well,
know.
yeah, I'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that in the Amphibia episode. But yeah, it's like it's a good episode, and I think it also does a good job of
Yeah.
like Ida coming to terms with her curse. I also kind of like the episode when we meet her mom and how she's always like been trying to like help Ida. I guess I don't know. It's one of the
Yeah.
weaker episodes of the season, but it's still pretty good, and I still enjoy
I
it.
think it has nice moments near the end with them. I'm not like
Yeah,
not
I don't know. I
huge
like
on
the
the whole
idea
thing.
with the family, and I think that works well. I also really like what's it? Let's just talk about some good episodes. Back to Ida's
My
recordings.
favorite. Uh, that one's fantastic.
Yeah,
We already
the
mentioned
music
that.
is also
Uh,
phenomenal in that episode.
oh
Like we
yeah.
said, we've been
Oh, the
complimenting the music.
animation of that one part.
Mm,
Mwah,
yeah,
perfect.
I also like the little
Also, I
subplot
love
with
the
King
the
and
subplot
Luz.
with the
Yeah,
the King subplot. I love that.
yeah, it's
It's so
very
nice. So they
wholesome. Have a very
when King
wholesome
reveals,
ending.
aw,
It's a great
he's a
episode.
Clawthorn
Might be
now.
my
It's so
favorite in
cute.
the series, honestly. I don't know.
My
It's like
favorite
it's one of the
episode.
best.
Okay. My favorite is Yesterday's Lie. I think I gone
Oh,
through the
that one's
episode with that.
amazing. I love that one.
Yeah, that one is my favorite. One is just because they don't get much focus in this season, obviously, because you can't get
Yeah,
much of them.
Luz's
But
mom and like
Camilla
this.
and V are two of my favorite characters too. I love them. I'm glad that we get more
Yeah,
focus with them in
yesterday's lie
season
is
three.
great,
In,
which involves Luz like
in,
returning to it, and they also like I think this was like established in the first season that there's a placeholder for Luz who has been like taking her
yeah,
place while she's gone, and it turns out it's this
you know,
monster same
I love
sister
that
named
because at
V.
first you're like, yeah, at first you're like, because you see that reveal, and you're like, oh, who's this bitch that's
Something's
stealing
off
Luz's? Like,
here.
you think it's gonna be like an antagonist, but no, like right away you're like, oh, I'm V. My life is horrible. I pretended to be you by accident. So immediately you're like, okay, you have a lot of sympathy for this
Yeah,
person,
you
and also,
understand.
and also she's charming. It's
I
nice,
also
and
really
then I
like
like. Oh yeah,
you can
what are you
go.
gonna
Okay,
say?
I'll say. I
Um.
really like the character conflict in that episode that
Oh
involves
yeah,
like
that's like my favorite
Luz
thing.
having to like realize if her adventures have been worth it. Like she could have had a better life if she went to camp. She could have made like friends she could have kept
You
forever
know,
if
I
she
love
did
that because they
well.
say like they show that V apparently like while at camp actually like 'cause the way they phrase it, and it's after like the camp wasn't even that bad. So it's like it really gets like the clocks turning in your. I think it's really interesting because like you have to think maybe Luz would have been fine, and this whole like running away thing and doing it might have been for nothing, which I think is fascinating to think about. And then like the character conflict eventually when Camilla finds out what's going on, and that whole thing with well,
Yeah,
Camilla and V talking is really nice. I love that. And then the ending is one of my just favorite Owl House scenes. Like her, like when
or like
Camilla finds out
slow
that Luz,
Luz being swept
yeah,
away while like they were crying, and like
yeah, well, Luz, that she finds out that Luz was there on purpose, which is kind of,
it's a
which
very
I'm like,
sad
which
scene.
I'm kind of, I have my own stipulations on how that is in season one, but I love what it leads to here with like her slow realization. Camilla like immediately assumes it's something that she did was wrong, and then she breaks down over
It's
that
very sad.
because it's just all amazing. Like this show, it doesn't have a lot of episodes I adore, but that is the one I'm like, mwah, I
It's
love
one
that
of the best
episode.
ones as well. I
It's
also
my
really
favorite, I think. But
yeah.
there are some that come close.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's definitely
there
in
are
top
others.
three, but yeah. There's
Yeah.
also another good one is like I like the one with young Ida and young Lilith. I think that's good. I think it's like it's just
Yeah,
charming, just charming,
it's
fun.
cute.
Apparently,
I like young Ida,
yeah. Apparently,
charming.
Dana Terrace wanted
Mm.
to like. I think they wanted to make like some sort of spin off on that. They even like have a throwaway line to it in season three, which we'll get to that
Oh yeah, no,
later.
I think that was an idea she had for a spinoff. She also wanted to do like I think a lore book in like that was going to be similar to like the Gravity Falls Journal or Marcy's Journal, but that never happened.
That's not gonna happen
I don't
because
think.
Disney hates this show.
Yeah, the thing is, I think an Owl House spinoff could be cool if they focused on the right character, but that's not
Like
that's not
that's
gonna
never
happen
gonna
anytime
happen.
soon. Oh boy, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it's just
it's the I
annoying.
hate
Yeah,
Disney.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, like I said earlier, I'd say characters like Gus gets some decent amount of good development. Like I like how, I mean, he's not. It's not amazing. He doesn't get anything that deep compared to characters like Amity or Hunter or Luz. But I think they give him two solid episodes. Like I kind of like the one where he, like I said, I like the one he joins like some gang who have ulterior motives. I guess it's a nice thing. I don't know. It's a nice one. It gives
All
him some
right.
depth. I like the one where he forms a weirdly nice relationship with Hunter after he runs away from the Emperor's Coven, which
Oh, you know, that's nice. I like the couple episodes where you get Hunter, Gus, and Willow at the school. I like those.
yeah,
I
that
think they're
one's as
charming.
good as well because it's nice to see. It's nice to see Hunter form relationships with other people outside of the Emperor's Coven and become and finding himself of who he really is outside of this Golden Guard position. It's a compelling arc to give a character like him, and it's definitely the
Yeah.
highlight in terms of writing. Like the writing has really
Mhm.
improved in this season. So yeah,
Yeah.
there isn't much problems I have with it. I mean, some episodes I find weaker, like the ones the one that involves though I like this episode, but it's not really anything I found too amazing. It's the one where Luz helps Kiki more in ordering to like make her feel better about missing her own mom, because I think it ties to Luz's arc well, and I like how Amity doesn't want to like invade her privacy, but like I don't know, I just don't like Mora as a character, and like
She's fine.
she's
I don't know.
fine. I just like don't care for what
Thing
the
is,
main
Bellows is
arc
just a
is.
really good antagonist. I don't think I'll get to the Collector later, but I
Yeah,
don't
we'll
think
talk
any of
about
the
the. We
other.
should probably talk about the Collector and Bellows soon, so we'll get to that.
Yeah, I don't think any of the other antagonists, like mild ones Owl House have had, have like lived up to Bellows personally,
Mhm.
especially compared to the other shows. But I don't know.
Yeah,
She's all right.
it's all
She's no
right.
Basha, but
Why do we keep?
all
Why do you
right.
keep bringing up that character?
Hmm.
I don't even
I'm
remember
setting
her.
up for later. Hold
Okay,
on.
all right. There's also
Hmm.
Edge of the World, which concludes like the part of King's arc in terms of how
Yeah,
he discovers that he's like a Titan, the son of the Boiling Isles, like we mentioned, and then like he's
yeah.
captured by like these Titan trappers, and it's like, and then at first it's like wholesome because you think he found his real family, only to be crushed with reality, and it turns out this whole time they were just manipulating him. It's just generally heartbreaking. It's
You
an
know,
amazing episode.
it's so sad because like all King really wants is he just wants like a nice like father son like chat or talk, but he can't even get that.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for him this
It's
season.
just sad,
I
but like
love
it's
his
so
stuff, but it's
genuine.
depressing.
Yeah,
Uh,
what a
yeah,
great season. You know, like it's
yeah,
not, it's good. It's great.
it's not
Honestly,
flawless, but
flawless. I guess there's the yeah. There's definitely there's some stuff that could be more developed. Like I said, I still think Willow and Gus are still underdeveloped in this season, and same with like certain aspects you can tell, specifically certain character that's like I think they do a good job with him for what it is, but I think it's time we talk about the stuff going on with Bellows and how this season
all right.
single-handedly makes him a generally fantastic antagonist of the show.
Okay.
So,
See what I love about Bellows is he has like if other villains they try to give him like a sympathetic backstory or anything like that, especially modern Disney. Another amphibia comparison, they do that with Andreas too later. But Bellows I love because he's an awful person through and through. I never try to redeem him.
yeah.
He's the worst piece of shit, and I love him. He's like such a genuine like
He's the
threat
irredeemable monster.
once you learn what he's done
He is
and like what his like
he is
motivations
like
before, it's like Jesus Christ.
his plan is to literally kill an entire civilization for the greater good. So it's revealed. So in the season, I haven't mentioned this, but a part of Luz's arc to get home to her mom is that she finds this book about a traveler named Philip Woodabane who is trying to find uh, a way back to the human realm as well. They need Titan's blood, which involves this episode with Amity and Hunter, which I think is another great one, another great
Yeah,
character
yeah, I
focus
really like that
episode.
one.
Um, and then it turns out that Bellows is a human. He is Philip Woodabine. He
Cool.
was also trapped in the human realm, and the Boiling Isles, not the human realm, but like he was also trapped in the Boiling Isles, and she was the main. And the whole time, the whole thing. Also, one of Luz's main things is that she wants to stop Bellows as well because she thinks he's up
But
to something.
then she accidentally helps him, and that's like her whole like
Yeah, her
conflict
whole
with
inner
the.
conflict that is played well into season three, but yeah, I think it's like yeah, it's what they reveal it well in the episode where Lilith and Luz time travel to the go yeah time
Yeah.
travel. Believe it or not, the time
I'm not
travel isn't
entirely
broken.
sure. I'm not entirely sure on the time travel logic, but I don't think it's completely
I
broken. So that's
think Bellows was like knew that Luz was the person that helped her and was like maybe trying not to like get her away or something. I
that's
guess
because Bellows like knows it happened,
so.
but
I
it didn't
guess
actually
maybe they're
happen yet.
trying to like
It,
not
I
take
don't
her
entirely get
away
how
so
that
they don't
works.
like so that way she can still go back in time and help her him I can't speak right now. I keep mispronouncing things, but so
You
Luz can
okay there,
help
bud?
Bellows meet the collector. There, I said it. Okay, I can talk now. Don't worry.
Okay, there you
Anyways,
go.
yeah,
Now we're
I did it.
talking.
All right.
But
But
yeah,
yeah,
I appreciate that they insert the concept of time travel. Like, it's. I feel like if they did this in another show, it'd like come across as like weird or unnatural or forced, but they do it like fine. I think it works well enough.
yeah.
And they get like really good stuff out of it. I love like because eventually, like obviously, you're not mad at Luz. She's like she's obviously
You can
nice. She just
understand
assumes.
her because like
This
they're both
Philip guy's all right.
humans.
She doesn't immediately assume that she's gonna be like this
Yeah, but you can
awful
tell,
awful
like even
person.
Lilith notices that there's a similar vibe with these, like that that both Bellows and Philip have similar ways of manipulation with them like saying exactly what they want them to hear in order to successfully manipulate them. It's like a similar method of manipulation, but it's also like uncomfortable how untrustworthy Bellows is. So like yeah, it works really
Yeah,
well. Should we start
he's a
talking?
really good vibe. Kind
Yeah,
of a weird thing to
he's
compliment, but
very
he's great.
intimidating. He's also a witch hunter who wants to wipe out the boy Miles. And literally, due to an episode Hollow Mind, which is an amazing
Okay, can we
episode.
talk about Hollow Mind
Yeah, let's
now?
talk about
Because
Hollow
that
Mind.
okay.
It what probably one of the another one of the best episodes of the entire
Hollow
series.
Mind is like I have like a
Phenomenal.
rough like top 5 for the show. Hollow Mind is definitely up there, top 5 or top 3. I love it because like at the beginning, Hunter stuff is so fucking good because they're like they do the thing at the beginning where it's like Hunter's like, oh man, Bellows wasn't do anything of feeling guilty because obviously like we've been talking about that's what he's conditioned to feel and but not feel believe and then you slowly see him like he's in like denial about it. He tries to like, oh no, he probably did it for this reason or this, and you just slowly see
Slowly
him
see
like
his world
break
crumble because
down.
like
Yeah.
I think it's foreshadowed well because like in the opening of the episode we see that like King says no one wants to spend their entire lives thinking they believed in the wrong person, so you have to think of something big to change their minds. And we see Hunter slowly grapple in that realization, and it's done really well. And we all and the reaction
It's like
to both of Luz and Hunter like figuring out this, along with freaking Hunter realizing he's a Grimwalker, which is supposedly a clone of Belos's brother, who he killed again and again after he fell in
yeah.
love with a witch. Also, the fan base basically like figured it out in this single episode by the frames
Ah.
in the brain, which is kind of interesting.
You know what? Props to the Owl House fan base.
Yeah,
I don't
but
like Owl House
yeah, you
fans,
can
but they're
tell
good
by
on
oh
them.
yeah, I forgot to mention this, but you could tell like just off the bat that the show would have a really passionate fandom. Like just by looking at the show, like what it's about, blah blah blah. You could tell it, but there's gonna be
The only
toxic
thing
fans out
that
there.
okay, the only thing that okay, honestly okay, the only thing that annoys me about Owl House fans is I've actually been on Owl House Twitter a couple times, which
Oh,
sounds awful. And the annoying thing is they don't actually like Owl House fans don't talk about any of like the non. If you're an Owl House character and your name is not Luz or Amity or Hunter or Willow, okay, weirdly enough, they only talk about
yeah.
Hunter and Willow because there are Huntlo shippers out
Oh
there.
yeah. I guess we could talk
I don't know if I
about
want to get
that in
into
a
the.
bit.
We'll get in, actually we might get into that later.
Kind of
But
have to.
no one the Owl House fans just don't actually talk about any. Amphibia fandom actually has this too, but I'll talk about that in that video. But no, Owl House fans just don't talk about any of the side characters, and I think that's annoying. Like,
Well,
Lumity's great, but there are other characters. No one makes any like Gus fan art or
yeah.
like no one talks about Ida or Bellows. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Talk about the other characters, damn it.
I
But
guess we should get
back to Hollow
to
Mind, because
yeah.
But anyway, the scene I really because at the very end you just see Hunter. He's terrified and he runs off and like literally because like you see his slow like his breakdown and then like because literally like we've been talking about because he's so conditioned to believe this certain way. Practically, it's like finding out this person he worshipped his entire life is like one of the worst people he's ever literally the worst person he's ever known
Yeah,
probably.
he's a
And it's like
freaking tyrant who wants to like destroy and literally kill everyone in the Borean Isles, and he thinks that he's the good guy because he's killing these supposed monsters, with him being
yeah,
the real monster. And I think that works well, seeing this guy being this guy who won't move on and is always staying determined into recreating his brother, who's the one always following his philosophy on witches. And it's like it's done well. It's
yeah.
like, dang, it makes Bellows just such a great antagonist, since he's just he's just a monster. He's a psycho, and it's like a
Uh,
compelling psycho because like it's just good. It's a great villain, honestly.
yeah, no, I love it. Hollow Mind is definitely like top 3 for me. I think I love that episode.
Yeah, it's
It's
amazing. One of the
fantastic.
best ones, and it's
Yeah.
like it's just done so well. It's great. It's a great, and it's
Mm.
so like sure
Yeah.
we already knew a lot of this information, such as Bellows being Philip, who was and him
The
being the
thing is,
human, but
I think even if you do know, it's powerful because it's less about the audience. This is
it's
gonna
more about the
sound kind of pretend.
characters.
It's less about us learning it and more about how the characters react to it. Because seeing Luz and especially Hunter react in the ways we've described, that's like, moi, chef's kiss, fantastic.
Amazing.
It's a
Oh
great stuff.
yeah, great. Another great episode. Yeah, there's some other
Yeah.
good ones. There's also the one where another one that adds a lot to Luz's arc really well is the one that when she try and helps Amity like with her father problems with her trying to enter this like rally thing to make just to like just for the sake of doing the same thing that her father did, and it's like done well. And I like the like
Oh no, I
thing
like the
with
stuff with
Luz.
Amity's parents a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like that stuff
because
as
like
well. Though I do think in the finale certain aspects of that were rushed, but we'll get to that in a bit.
I,
Like
I,
season one, we'll talk about the finale
uh,
near the end of the segment.
I think her dad gets off a little easy. Like he's kind of an asshole too. Yet
I
he's
mean, yeah,
kind of
he's
like
just kind of like
really.
he kind of neglects his kids.
I think the main thing they try to show is that her mom Odalia is the one who's like actively
Oh yeah,
like the bad
she is
influence,
so
and then
unlikable.
oh yeah, she's a huge
She's kind of a
bitch, and
psycho,
then
yeah.
her her dad is just kind of like
Her dad is
neglectful,
much
but not like
more
she isn't
like
like actively doing. She's kind of like
yeah.
strolls along.
He's just kind of
And
there,
I
but
think it's
like he's not
fine.
really like. He's just kind of yeah. I don't know, but you can tell they're definitely doing a good job at establishing his redemption. And I also really like the stuff in
Yeah,
that
yeah.
episode with Luz trying to keep herself distracted as possible, just to avoid thinking about the stuff with like her dad dying on that same day, and with
Oh
like
yeah,
the
no,
thing
I
with
love
the
that.
and I love the ending with Amity
Mm.
and Luz. It's like the episode that really like sold me on the relationship between them, and I'm
Oh,
starting to like
I
really
love that
buy it.
scene.
It's a great ending.
Just such a genuine moment, and then when Amity's like her reaction to that, how she tries to like help her, it's sweet.
And I
I just,
mentioned this season's also much more well paced than the other ones. Like there's
oh,
literally every
definitely.
episode adds something to the show in some
It's
way,
weird because
and
season
it's
one
done
feels like
without
it.
being overwhelming.
It's weird because in season one, I feel like some stuff. It's like we were talking about some stuff. It was like they spent too little time on,
Yeah,
and some stuff I felt like they were repeating themselves too much. It was weird. They went too fast and too slow on some aspects. But no, with season two, um, I think it's funnily enough, it's like I think it's the only Owl House season that's like actually has the chance to be well paced. Well, because of what happened with season three. But, everything's like
yeah.
laid out naturally. Well, not every character, like we said. There are some that are sidelined. But every like big character arc the season wants to go for is given like a great amount of time. Because like we were talking about, Luz gets her own thing. I love that. Ida gets her own thing.
Yeah,
I love
Ida,
that.
like they take
Uh,
Ida. Ida was kind of a comic relief character a lot of the time in season one, but
kind
now
of.
they like give her yeah, kind of. I mean, I think King was more comic relief,
King
but
was kind of the cut. Well,
yeah, but like at
actually,
times she
I
had
guess it was
some
Hootie
comic
for
relief to
the
it. I mean, she had some like comic. She was more played for humor in a lot of cases, but now like they add something much more compelling to her that I think makes her character work much
yeah.
better. Yeah, every character is
Hmm.
just developed upon much better. Like even Willow and Gus, which like didn't sure don't get much in this season. Like I don't know if we say this, but like in the episode that focuses on Hunter, um, joining the same like sport team uh
Yeah,
of Willow and Gus, like. I think like it sets up like if I was gonna focus on Willow, but then it focuses on Hunter. But like I like Willow's inclusion in the episode still. They also give her like they also give her like the thing with Amity with them like now like grow and continue to build up their friendship after they were kind of like after they like after they weren't friends for so long but now are like forming friendship again after the Understanding Willow episode. It's like done well, even though in that
yeah,
like one episode that focuses on Hunter and Gus's relationship, that arc with them is a tad bit rushed, but still it's done well.
yeah. But
Yeah.
like I said, everyone gets like all the big arcs. None of them are like too rushed or feel like. I don't think anything's fighting for attention, which is good. Everyone has their own little thing
Yeah.
going on at the same time, and it's all like, especially like I was talking about. I was praising the hell out of the King and Hunter stuff because there's a lot of really good shit in this, and it's fantastic little
Yeah.
stuff there.
Great
You want to
season.
talk about
So
like the final episodes now? Or you got
I guess I
anything?
could
Got anything
um
else you want to say, or are we
not
good?
too much other than like I don't know. Like I said, I really like Bellows as a villain. The way he
Yeah, we
manipulates
talked.
people is done well. Of how much control he has, it's done well. What was I gonna say? I was gonna
Yeah,
say
kind of went over it.
something. It was um yeah. I also like I also like the relationship that Gus and Hunter form. I think that's done well. Uh,
Oh, that's sweet. I think I'll talk about them more in season three,
so
but I
yeah, that's
like
a
it's
nice
nice.
friendship. It's nice
This
how
is
they
like
can,
because Hunter, it's the first time Hunter's forming like genuine bonds with people. Like he thinks he has a bond with Bellows, but like,
but like
come
deep
on,
down, Bellows does not
that's
care
not.
because he could just create another Grimwalker at any moment.
Theoretically, Bellows could kill Hunter and then make him again. It's like
It's like nothing happened.
depressing, but
It's sad.
yeah,
Yeah, and then we have then guess we'll get to in the last couple episodes that revolve around the build
yeah.
up to the Day of
This is when
Unity.
things
We
start.
didn't mention the Day
Uh,
of Unity, which is the part where
oh yeah.
it's the day that Velos plans on like killing a bunch of wish. We haven't mentioned the collector. We forgot about the
Oh no. Oh
collector.
yeah.
The
So
collector
when
is
they were in the past, Philip was trying to dig up the collector or something, right?
Collector Stone,
Yeah.
which is like this kid who's like a child from the
Yeah. He's
stars.
basically a god, but actually
But
his
he has like
powers
a
are
mind
kind
of a
of
kid.
yeah. So and then that's the setup we need, right? Then the Day of Unity is about to happen, and now
Yeah.
things are the Adventure Time stakes are in full force
Yeah. What
now.
do you think of the
They're gonna
collector as a
happen.
character? Like,
I think he is a really interesting concept. I think they needed to
they could have
flesh out
fleshed him out
aspects
more, but
of
I
him
think he
more.
works well for like a concept. They like
Part of that was,
that's a,
again, the time crunch. I think the main thing is I'm just some stuff like power wise, I'm not entirely sure how he like because he's like this god basically. He has some limits, but sometimes I feel like he has more. It's weird. I don't know the exact like.
mhm.
I kind of want to
I
know
don't
that
think they
stuff
do
more.
it.
It's
Yeah, I like the idea of
I
like
do
giving
think as a threat though he does work well, but
yeah,
not in the same way
especially since he
Bellows
has
does.
no
Because like,
idea what he's doing is
yeah,
wrong because he has
I
no
mean,
like he's just a kid having kid things. He doesn't know what he's doing is wrong at all, and you can
yeah,
understand
no. The
that.
thing that's interesting about him to me is because like, with Bellows, we talked about why he's such a great threat. Obviously, both on the collector, basically all you're given about him is he is a child with the powers of a god, and he can do whatever he wants. And because he can do whatever he wants, he's like, and he doesn't like know what he doesn't have like a moral compass basically. So he'll just do whatever the fuck he wants, and he's like at the mercy of a child. Doesn't like grasp any like logic of like how any of this works.
Mhm.
Except that they could like kind of trick him and tame him. I'm
Yeah.
still, like I said, I'm still confused on aspects of that. But yeah, it just I think it works like really well. I will say, I think Bellows is a little bit like sidelined a little too easily. Like eventually, the collector just kind of kicks him, and then he's gone,
Yeah,
and
the
then we kind of
finale.
forget about him. Then the collector, I was kind of worried about that at first because for a bit I was like, oh no, are they just gonna forget about Bellows now? Is the collector, which they don't.
Yeah, they
Obviously,
don't
Bellows is
in
still a big
season
force.
3, but
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I guess we can now
So your
talk.
thoughts on the last like couple episodes? Because I've heard some people say it's a good episode, but not like a good finale or something.
I
I'm
didn't
like,
mind it.
eh.
I thought it was good. I like
Yeah,
the
I think it works
third
well. I like it.
last episode with um with King and Luz not turning back with now trying to find a way to stop Bellows, and then we have Luz and Ida trying to like find um, King's like little stuffed doll, so that way they can just so that way just because Ida wants to give like them a last like day of fun and whatnot, and it's like nice because like
Yeah,
there's some great interactions between her and Lilith, and it just feels so genuine with like her desperately caring for Luz and like with them being just kids and how they shouldn't be in the situation. It's done really well, and like I
yeah,
definitely buy their relationship a lot more now, and it's like, yeah, I love they even fight over it, and I think that's done just really well. And
yeah. It's really
a lot of it is
compelling.
done well, to be honest. Yeah.
But
Um.
yeah, yeah.
Animation's good.
Yeah.
Good fight scene as well, even though it's like more of an argument. And they also like this stuff with King discovering himself and having to cope with the fact that he's like gonna be this giant titan, and with Lilith like treating him like a king, even though King just wants to
Oh
be
yeah, I like
treated like
that.
a. It's like a nice like subversion of how he was in the first season with him always commanding people because he thought he was this former king of
You know, you can
demons.
really just see his like growth in that. I think it, like I said, King and Hunter are like have the most interesting character growth to me throughout the show. I love both of their stuff, like I've gone on about.
Hmm.
But yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
neat. Well done. Very
Yeah,
well
the last two
done.
episodes are good with them having to like save Amity from being grounded by her parents. But like at the same time I feel like Amity's mom should have showed up more to make like that final fight scene where all the kids, including Amity's dad, all fight her
I
mom.
think
It's like,
she's much more of like an implied presence rather than like an
yeah,
active figure, and I think it kind of works because like from what we're like shown, you get the idea of how
yeah, I
like
still think she
awful
should
she
have
is in her
showed
like
up a bit
presence.
more, but like
No, I
obviously.
agree. I think that we could have gotten a little more, but
Yeah, but still,
I
I
think you
don't
still
know. I also like the
get the good
redemption
gist
of
of it.
her dad. I think that's done well. Yeah, fight scene's good. Also, they pour in like the entire but animation budget into the kiss with Amity and Luz, which was surprising to say the
Yeah,
least. It's like
I feel like they did that just to
surprisingly,
piss off Disney.
yeah. Screw Disney,
They're like,
haha.
you know,
Yeah.
like fuck you. We're gonna put
That's a
all of our
last
budget
feud
into
to
the
Disney
gay thing.
before that's the last feud to Disney before the show gets canned, which we'll talk
Well,
about
they actually
soon.
have there's another. I'll talk about that,
Yeah.
but
Um yeah, the
yeah,
ending is good. Um, and then like I like the interaction between Luz and Bellows. In general, those interactions are great
yeah,
with
no, I love that.
Bellows trying to spare Luz at every second, but with Luz refusing to because of all the connections she's
Well, no,
been
because
able to
Bellows has
form
like
in the
this,
Boy of the
he's this
Knives.
weird manipulative tendency because like, oh, we're both humans, Luz. You're like me, and they're like, and like how he tries to manipulate her through that. I love that. That's really interesting.
Yeah, that's
And then
done well. It leads to
that
a
doesn't
great
work.
final confrontation between all of them,
Yeah.
between
But then
Luz and Bellows. Same with all the kids teaming up to beat the crap out of him. And Hunter is also really done with him still feeling hesitant, like the scene where Bellows tries to manipulate Hunter once again, only to Hunter to like resist the fact. You know, it's like
Yeah.
Damn. Also, it's implied in that episode that Belos' brother that he cloned multiple times' name was Caleb. So, damn, the fan base of this show has been going into depth for a lot of things. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have too much to say. The Collector. So the ending is great. The ending of season 2 is great, with the kids now being sent to the Boiling Isles. I mean, no, the human realm. Why did the kids? The human realm.
Trap there now.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Silly
Uh,
me. Uh-oh.
yeah.
Yeah, so
And then we end on
now, and
that.
then the Collector causes chaos after King lets the Collector free in order to stop the draining spell that was going to kill everyone. And it's like, yeah, I also like the stuff going on with Rain and Ida, once again, with Rain doing whatever he can to protect Ida, making a promise to lose. It's like, that was compelling. I think they have like a great a relationship that was brilliantly established in Ida's Requiem and is done well throughout the series.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. A lot of the new characters are good in this season, like we've stated. Yeah. I still like every other character in this finale. It all comes together well.
I like the amphibia reference.
Oh yeah,
it was
the
on
opening where like
you remember this?
Yeah, I saw it was like in the background near the end when Luz knocks at the
It's on
door.
our laptop thing.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because the ending just reminds me of True Colors. I know it's a
Yeah, like the
hybrid.
same characters get swept back to the human world, away from the fantasy, along with the characters that the main character has formed a connection with in the other universe. So it's pretty similar in that department. So,
And True Colors is better, but that's like that's a high bar.
I do think that's better, but won't say why though.
Yeah. So you can go.
I don't think I have anything else to say.
Yeah. You want to get into season 2 ratings and everything? Because I think.
Yeah, I think I've said everything. We mostly broke down all the episodes.
I think we broke down that pretty thoroughly.
Yeah.
I would give season 2 a decently high 8.
I'd give it the same rating as well. Yeah.
This is my favorite season of the Owl House. I really like a lot of this.
Yeah, it's a great. Every episode is good in its own way. It's honestly might be a high 8. Like I know a 9 may be a bit high, but still, it's generally.
I wouldn't go 9 because there's a lot of great episodes, but there's not like fantastic.
There's a lot.
There are amazing ones, and it has my favorite episode, like I discussed, but not quite. Highs after highs.
There's 2 episodes I think are like masterpiece, like Yesterday's Lie and Edith's Requiem. Or like,
those are
some of
my 2 favorites are Yesterday's Lie and Hollow Mind. Those are my 2 favorites of the season. But yeah,
I like those as well. Those are like the top 3 favorite episodes to me.
Yeah. Before we get into season 3, however, should we discuss Disney's little? We kind of hinted at it. You want to discuss
Disney's little
basically,
I just want to say, like, I think I might like Yesterday's Lie a little over Edith's Requiem. I think about.
Oh, nice! You get it.
I don't know. They're both amazing. It's hard to choose, but yeah. Anyways, back to the thing. I just wanted to.
So basically, so Disney, in their infinite wisdom. So so they didn't. So Disney did not explicitly say Owl House is gay, so we hate it now. That's not what they said.
They said
however,
it doesn't
what they
fit
said,
the Disney brand.
Which first of all, bullshit. If you're saying that doesn't fit the Disney brand, I keep bringing up Amphibia, but look over there, like a child got impaled.
A child got impaled and tortured while screaming in agony. We'll talk more about that in the video.
Does that fit the Disney brand?
That fits the Disney brand, but nope.
Is that what you wanted?
It's like they can't say that they're homophobic, so they just said, it doesn't fit the Disney brand.
That's so stupid. I would argue it fits the Disney brand perfecly because
there's some dark imagery with like the Bellows stuff, but still, it's like
no, even still, even ignoring Amphibia, compared to all the shit Gravity Falls got away with, like all that, that's like
stupid.
Like, House is like tame compared to that. Jeez.
Yeah, Gravity Falls also has some pretty dark imagery, and it's like
remember like the North Mansion with all that and like
stupid.
it's
It's a
There's a
dumb
bunch of
reason,
dark
and
stuff.
it's like, yeah, like honestly, compared to weird comparison to make since this and Moral Oral cannot be further apart in terms of tone. Like, yeah, but like
Yeah.
they both got canned, but I feel like this had a much stupider reason for being canned.
Thing is, moral oral we talked about, and I've talked about plenty of times.
Yeah,
Why it is stupid. However, I will say, at the very least, moral
it is
orals cancel.
slightly more
I think
understanding.
at the end of the day, you can maybe see a reason. I think it's frankly stupid because Adult Swim knew what they were getting into, so they're like pulling the rug from under them afterwards. And it was obviously Dino's plan to have that whole 5 season thing. We've talked about that in the moral oral
Yeah.
video. But the thing is, I think Owl House. Don't quote me on this because I think Owl House is the show I know the least behind the scenes for out of the three. I think Dana wanted 5 seasons too. At least I think something around that.
I'm not
She wanted
sure.
at least 4. I know that,
No,
and she definitely
no,
did not want a 3 episode third season
yeah,
or something like
definitely
that.
not. I think she at least wanted 3 full seasons, but
Yeah, no,
I'm not
definitely.
sure.
And I think that's apparently. I don't think the collector was meant to be introduced until like at least a season later, but because they're like, well, chip chop, collector now. We
The
don't have
collector fits
time.
decently well for what they
Not
did
enough
with him, but
time. You have to
yeah,
keep moving.
yeah, yeah, it's just a stupid reason for canceling it, and it led to season 3, which is only 3 40-minute episodes, one being a slightly longer at a nearly at 1 hour mark, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, so we have 3 different episodes, and I guess
I think the best way we can do this is since they're just 3 episodes, we can just individually talk about
yeah,
each.
okay, let's get into season 3 now, our
Now,
final
season
season.
3, quickly
It's good.
overall,
Good.
it is
It is
a
the best it can be for the
yeah.
pressure that the crew
I think
was
that's the
under
best
with
way they could do it.
concluding this show
Really, okay.
satisfyingly.
I think most of it works. There are aspects I raise my eyebrow to, mainly in the middle part, as we will get into. But you want to talk about thanks to them now, because this is the one.
Yeah, thanks to them is
Thanks to them
probably
is
one of the best ones of the series.
honestly,
is
thanks to
phenomenal.
them is in the. I made like a top 5 episodes list that I might say at the end. But thanks to them is
It's probably up
genuinely
there.
like
I
top
generally
5 for
love
me.
it.
I really love
It's
this
a
one.
great way to give us back into this
Thing
world.
is, I
back
remember,
into
I
these
think
characters.
before the season comes out, I think you were actually with me on this. We were both kind of scared that things wouldn't go
Yeah,
that
I
well.
was, because I remember seeing some leaks about it, and I was just nervous about the idea of time wasting. And this season does that once in a particular thing, which we'll talk about when we get to Force of the Future. But and thanks to them, uh, it's generally a great way to establish it, and it generally works
It's
well. You can tell.
perfect because okay, you couldn't tell that they were gonna have like there were things that they clearly wanted to do that they couldn't. Like they had that montage near the beginning of them trying to fix the door, and they show a bunch of photos and everything. You can like tell those were gonna be like episodes on their own, and we were gonna have a whole thing. But
Yeah.
like even ignoring that, they're like it's so efficiently like paced and done, and I love all the character stuff. It's like really really good. Like first of all, I just love all them like adjusting to the human realm and stuff. We get more Gus Hunter interactions. Those are really sweet. They bond
Yeah,
over
that was
like
nice. They have a nice friendship.
bond over the sci-fi series Camilla
Yeah,
likes, and then they like get into
with Hunter seeing himself in one of the characters. And I really the stars of this episode is Hunter and Luz and their character arcs that definitely shine here. I love Luz's pure guilt of grief in terms of her like not knowing like how the people around her would feel if what she did that allowed Bellows with the draining spell, and how the whole thing is her fault. You can understand that a kid her age would get this upset over something like this. Like, I definitely sympathize with her, and it's generally heartbreaking in a lot of
it
areas.
sucks because like obviously you know that that's not gonna be like
Yeah,
like
you can
it really wasn't
understand it.
her fault obviously, but like you can understand why she gets like so like torn up about it, and like this kind of self-deprecative cycle it goes into. It's
Yeah.
really interesting the way they like
And it's like she's
handle it and
generally like
everything.
it's. I love the darker tone here works well. Like all the tension of like Bellows, like what is left of Bellows after he's
Yeah,
freaking died in the finale. Once the
I
collector
love
was
the visual of
replaced,
him. He's like this like slop, like
he's this
this
foreboding
kind of
shadow. And what was weird is
goes
that
around.
do they even explain how he really got like became this way? Like I think they imply
I think
it,
it's implied
but
after he was like fucking whooped by the collector. I think
yeah, but
that's
like
why they try
yeah,
to
I
go
guess
for.
so. But like
Uh,
it's a bit I don't know. Like I guess if I had an issue with this season is it feels like I understand like I know Belos's backstory, but I feel like we could have at least been shown it instead of certain other things that were focused on, which like I said,
eh,
we'll get to
I
later.
get that, but
But like
I
I
think
think
it
it's
still works
implied
well.
well, like in this season, like there's a scene where they find out like in this episode that more about like who Philip and Caleb are and how they were witch hunters. They implied a backstory well. It just I feel like we could have gotten maybe at least a flashback or something. That was something I was kind of looking for in this season, but oh well, it
Yeah,
worked decently
yeah.
well, and it
But no,
led
no, you can say your quick thing. I was just gonna
yeah,
talk
and it
more about
led
that.
for like it worked well, and overall
Yeah,
Hunter's arc here is great with him finally becoming more happy, finding a sense of
yeah,
belonging, bonding with more of the main friends
yeah.
characters,
I love
Willow,
that
Gus,
scene where
Amity, Luz.
I love that scene where Hunter goes out with like Luz because he thinks
Oh,
he's
that
seen
scene's
Bellows,
amazing
and then
with
there's like
him.
nothing, and then Hunter, and then Luz calls Hunter like family, and
Then he
Hunter
starts
just breaks
crying
down
behind the mask,
crying.
like
He never
damn,
felt like
I
he
love that
belonged with
scene.
anyone. Like it's
That
so
scene's
sad,
great.
but it's so
It
I
it
love that.
definitely does a good job. It's like the conclusion to Hunter's arc in some way. Finally finding a place of belonging and acceptance. He's finally found who he really is, and it's just such a joy to see
It's
him do
nice.
that. It makes him such
Yeah,
a
and
cool,
then
compelling
eventually
character.
it makes it all the more depressing when it all
When
comes
it all
out,
comes back with Bellows
tumbling down.
returning, with him being traumatized by him. You can tell there were definitely some scrapped episode ideas. Like I said in the main intro, when we see this
Yeah,
montage of all the adventures and like the owl and like the gang all exploring the human realm. There's even this PowerPoint presentation that Luz shows her mom about her being bi, which is
I was
another
gonna mention. I forgot that feels like the last middle finger to
it's the
Disney. They're
last
like, you know
middle
what?
finger.
And they're
We're
like, you
gonna
know
be.
what? They're like, you know what? Fuck you. You can't. What are
It
you gonna?
almost was
You gonna
too
do? Cancel us again?
LGBTQ friendly to the
I'm like,
point when I didn't even believe it because I didn't think Disney would approve it, but they did it anyway, and I'm happy Dana Terrace was able to do
I
it.
think they were just like, well, what are you gonna do? Cancel us
Yeah,
again?
you can't
That's gonna
cancel us
happen next.
again, can't you? Because then you'll look homophobic.
Yeah,
Haha,
and
take that,
I
Disney.
love, but that whole montage is really nice. And like,
Yeah, and almost wish
also
we
like,
got this show fully realized. Which, yeah, I also really like the stuff with Luz and her mom, with her
oh
mom
yeah,
always wanting to like Luz's mom always wanting to like just protect her from the world, and like she saw herself inside Luz, and she could like connect to her, but
yeah,
like
that dream scene she has, I love that
love
part.
that with her like always being made fun of, and Luz always like embarrassing herself, and it's like you can
Yeah,
understand her well, and like
it's great because from her perspective, like the dream at the beginning of the show, you're like, oh well, Luz's mom kind of sucks. She sent her to this camp that probably sucks. Which
yeah,
yesterday's lives reveals it probably wasn't even that bad,
uh-huh,
honestly. But then eventually you're like, oh no, she didn't even really want that. She was kind of like manipulated by the people around her to
mhm,
instead the principal to see it that way. And that was like uh,
yeah,
it's just really interesting. I love that.
uh-huh.
Also, this is a we get a lot of V.
Oh yeah,
You know this,
the
and I love
girl,
V.
yeah,
So
she's a good character.
I like her like not human design, the design she uses to blend in and everything.
Yeah.
I kind of wish we got more of her, even though
I mean, I
story
guess they
wise that
couldn't
would have
really
made
do
sense.
much with her. She's just kind of
Yeah,
like a nice little
but it's nice she gets to
side character, I
bumble
guess.
around with the group.
Yeah.
She has her own thing. It's fun. She's
And
like
it's
my
charming.
character
It
too.
has a darker tone that I think works really well.
Yeah, I
Um,
think Dana wanted the show to be more dark in general, but
oh, that would have been
obviously,
cool, but like
I mean, I
that's
don't
never
think
gonna
Disney would have
happen.
allowed that. I think seasons 2 and 3 are closer to what she originally wanted for the
Um,
show, and that they like
yeah.
lean more into that.
Overall,
But
yeah. Great character work. Also, the ending fight scene with Bellows
so
taking
smooth,
control of Hunter is the peak
yeah,
of this show's animation. I mean, animation it
it's
peaked
so
before,
nice.
but like this is the next level. This epic action scene is phenomenal. Like, it looks
Yeah.
so good visually. God.
Yeah.
That
Also, see that part. This is kind of outside of the actual. Well, it's kind of related. I remember when this episode came out, there were leaks saying that a
uh,
hunter was gonna die, and I was
oh
like, eh,
yeah.
yeah, they
No,
won't kill off
someone did
Hunter.
die though. It was his
Um,
palisman Flapjack who
yeah, I
sacrificed
remember that because
himself.
that seemed sad.
Yeah,
I
just seeing
love.
him slowly fade away just to like sacrifice himself for
No, no, no. It's even
Hunter.
more sad when Hunter wakes up. He
He
knows
knows it's
already.
so heartbreaking.
Yeah,
Also, you could tell like where Luz and her friends are about to go back to the human realm with her mom. You notice that like even through Hunter's voice, you can tell that he's still not over, and it's still like heartbreaking on
yeah.
the inside. It's so
I
sad.
think like it kind of plays to the next one. Hunter's just like constantly on edge in the next
It's
one.
so
So
good. Yeah,
yeah,
does a
it's
good job of
great.
progressing
Uh,
because now
yeah,
he's just so pissed at Bellows for what he's done to him, and he just wants
yeah,
to end him.
yeah. One thing I was about to saying with the leaker, they were saying that, and I remember. Well, I watched all three of these live. Well, for the future, there's an asterisk to that because
Yeah,
we'll get into
that was
that.
like
But
leaked, so
yeah, but with thanks to them, I was like watching it live. I was chilling,
I was
talking with some friends about the episode as it was happening, and then I was like, oh my god, because I was like, cause the screenshots that were like leaked looked like the ones where people were saying Hunter was dying in it, and I was like, I was terrified. I was like, no, you didn't kill off Hunter? No, no. And then I got really scared. And then I was like genuinely relieved. I was like, oh, Hunter's alive. And Flapjack died, so I was sad again. But
yeah,
Hunter was great.
yeah.
But yeah, that's like my last little note on thanks to them. I just think it's really fun seeing the gang go
Yeah.
around
Also, a
trying
nice
to find the
callback this
Titans.
the first episode where like Eda says they banished giraffes from their dimension, so we see those again, and they're
Yeah,
like these frightening monsters. It doesn't make much sense, but it's a funny callback, I'd say.
it's neat.
Good
Uh,
episode. I don't know if I have
Also,
anything
I
else
didn't
to say.
catch it, but apparently there's another amphibia reference in this one. And like when they're at the town, there's like a guy in like a grime costume or something. I
Oh.
just felt that was worth
Yeah.
mentioning.
Speaking
I
of
didn't
that town
spot it.
scene, I remember there's like there's this other guy. There's like this crazy witch conspiracist from yesterday's lie. You know that guy. Apparently, I
Oh
just
yeah, yeah, oh
realized
yeah,
he was
him,
voiced
yeah.
by Roger
He
Craig
didn't.
Smith, Sonic
Oh
the
yeah, I knew it
Hedgehog.
because he sounds like
He
Sonic.
does
I
sound. That
knew it.
was funny. It was kind of distracting, but it was pretty funny because some characters you can hear like other characters. Like there's some guards like that work for the Emperor's Coven that sound like Grunkle Stan if you can hear it enough.
Yeah, we talk about King and Bill. Also, V when she talks, like she's voiced by Amethyst on Steven Universe, and I don't like
Oh,
hearing that.
okay. Now I hear. Okay, now that you
Yeah.
tell me that, I now can hear it now.
I was like, oh,
That
I don't like
explains
hearing that.
it.
And also, Ida, I mentioned Bojack's mom. I also know her as the principal in Alvin and the Chipmunks
Oh
too.
yeah, she is
Yeah.
that.
So
And
if you ever watch that movie, you can either think of Bojack jokes or Owl House jokes. I just made that movie 10 times better for you.
yeah, good,
Like,
good.
yeah,
Congratulations. Yeah.
like I'm a
Also,
we're
there's like
gonna yeah.
yeah. Also, there's like a. Also, it's I think it's implied that like Flapjack is like an incarnation of the witch that of Ballas's brother was in love with. It feels like they've been implying that a
Oh,
bit. So I don't know if you noticed that, but
they told the whole story and everything, and I think
yeah, maybe if they told
maybe
the whole story, that would have made more sense. But still, it works well for what they were trying to do with it. So yeah, it
yeah.
works. Yeah. Next is For the Future, which is good.
Okay, now for the future is like here's the thing. There are parts of this episode I really like still, but also some of it's just like, why would you do that? Why?
Yeah, it's like let's talk about the good stuff.
Too much.
I guess we could
Yeah.
talk about.
I like Camilla reacting to everything in the Boiling Isles. Her like it's fun. It's
Yeah,
like a nice
I like the
contrast to it.
stuff with Ida, King, and Lilith. Even though Ida and
Yeah,
Lilith were breaking out of the Collector's puppet control off screen.
that's a little.
Somehow,
I don't like that. That
yeah,
that seems like one of the signs of it being rushed. It's
yeah, but I don't mind
and
that. I like
I like the visuals of the collector, the Boiling Isles after the collectors like
yeah, looking
changed
like some
everything.
Mario Galaxy thing with all the stars
Yeah,
and
no,
color
you
palette.
change
It looks
warps
cool
everything. It
visually.
looks cool. I like that.
Yeah,
And this is the first episode. Surprise, surprise. The writers finally took some time to care about Willow, and
Willow, yeah, and she has a nice arc about her being
and
like
shockingly, I really like
depressed.
the stuff with Willow in this.
Yeah,
Actually,
like
it's like she like bottles up all her like
emotions and
frustrations with
anxieties, and is
everything,
able to
because
vent
she's
them
like the
all out
one
to
of the group.
Hunter.
Everyone's like, all right, you're fine. Willow doesn't get
Yeah,
mad
it
about
actually
anything.
made me sympathize with the Hunter Willow ship that the fan base was shipping after Hunter blushed in that one scene in season
Okay,
one.
I think it's a cute ship personally.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
look back.
actively
At
think
first, I
of
didn't
it.
understand it that much, but now, I'm in on it
Yeah.
more.
Okay. In season 3, they definitely are like it's not there. That's intentional. There's like
Yeah, I think they could
I think
have
it,
done it a bit more if they had more time, but it's done well. It works well.
I
Um,
think it's nice,
yeah, it's
but
nice.
uh,
I like the stuff with I like the idea of Bellos like possessing the puppet version of Rain and like is still able to manipulate the collector again because he's a literal child. So like of course
oh,
it's easy to manipulate a child. So that's why like I knew you know immediately that Bellos was most likely gonna portray the collector in season two.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, you can understand why the collector would still be manipulated by Bellows, even though he doesn't even know it's Bellows because he's a kid. Of course, he's like a kid. He was clearly never disciplined properly, so you could sympathize with him, and it's well fleshed out in the finale, which is after this episode. But yeah. And overall, it's an enjoyable one. I like the stuff with Bellows trying to find a new body, with him trying to possess another one. There's some great imagery there.
Oh yeah, I
I
like
like when he
it.
sees all the Caleb and all the dead Rim Walkers, and then he just brushes it off. That's
Yeah,
funny.
the main thing about this one that I think drags it down is
Is
when
the
they get
stuff?
to Hex side. I feel like everything just kind of halts.
Yeah,
We're like, okay,
the stuff with the main characters is lame. So they bring back the bully girl named Basha from season one.
that's why I kept
She's
bringing
like,
her up and telling you. I
yeah,
was
this is
building up to
foreshadowing,
this.
so let's talk about that. It's like she's a character I never liked because she's just kind of a lame bully character with nothing interesting going on with her. So like I just don't care. Like why at this point, you know?
Basha is a fine character who works fine
In
in
a
season
vacuum,
one
but like in
because you
this
need a character to like contrast of how Amity was to how she is now. But
yeah.
after you have that, why is she here?
Yeah,
They
like
try to
I
make
don't
her
know,
like
like was this really the character they could have focused on? Like focused on maybe some well, there could have been more stuff focused on. I don't know. It's like lame.
but no, and then it's not even just Basha. No, we need C tier Owl House character Kiki
Oh
Mora in this
gosh,
show.
I don't like Kiki more. I think she got annoying here because like I don't even understand why she's still evil. Like she even helped King in the finale. Like now she wants to start her own empire or something. But like, who gives a shit? What's he gonna do? Okay, who
Like, who's
cares?
not Kiki?
Who gives a crap? I don't like Kiki more. It's also weird seeing her without like her mask thing and see her mouth moving. That was kind of weird. That was distracting for me. I don't
Yeah,
know why.
no.
It's like
It's weird because thing is, okay, the thing is, other problems the show faces are mainly just me being like, all right, yeah, no, you didn't have time for that, or yeah, no, I don't think
yeah,
you could fit that in there.
mostly
You're
the
kind of
pacing
under,
that
yeah,
can
you're kind of under like time issues. But the
yeah.
thing is, I don't think when you have 2 episodes left, you really should be focusing on Basha or Kiki more. Like, listen,
Uh-huh.
you don't have time for something like this. You
Yeah.
kind of gotta do
Kind of
something else.
got
But no,
more stuff to do. You got to kind of hurry up because you're near the
yeah,
end of the
yeah,
show.
listen, it's too much. too much. I don't
It's
like
like
that.
I
No.
don't know, because like I said earlier, the stuff with Philip and Caleb, I think they could have at least had like a flashback, maybe have the characters learn more about them. But nope, we have to redeem the classic side character of Basha. We have to redeem her. Who cares at this point? Because like there's stuff like the Collector and Bellows, two characters I would much rather spend time with. What about Ida, Lilith,
Yeah,
and King? Let's spend time
I'd
with
rather see
those.
more of King in the
It's just like they
collector
need the
stuff. But we didn't
characters
get
to
much
do
of that.
something, but it's just like in a show with such little time left, why did they think that this was one of the most important plot points to like throw in? It's like
Yeah,
a
no.
lot of people have been like agreeing that this is the biggest problem with season three, and
I
it
think
really
everyone's
is.
kind of in agreement. This is like the weak link of the three. I think
Yeah,
that's
it's
like
still good.
good.
Like I think the aspects are good. There's still some good stuff. I
I
like
think
the
I think honestly, if you either cut down the Hexside stuff or you just replace the stupid villain stuff with like other stuff, this could be like an eight
yeah.
for me. I think there's stuff I really do like in
Yeah, I
this,
like the
but
stuff with losing her mom, and I like her
yeah.
talisman reveal
Oh no, I
reveal.
think that's because eventually she comes to the realization that like, yeah, no, I don't want to actually leave. I was just like in this really depressive slump, and eventually, she through her talisman, she finds out what she actually wants to do. She
He
gets it.
understood. It's
It's a
great.
cute scene.
Yeah.
I think some people don't like her talisman's design, but I think
Really?
it
I
looks
didn't mind
cool.
it.
I
I
like
think
him.
yeah, it's like
Cool.
a
Cool.
shapeshifter snake
Trillian.
thing. It's nice.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good. That part's good. It's a good episode, but
Yeah.
just that just weighs it down a lot for me and holds it back from topping the other two episodes that are also really good.
It's
It's a good episode,
it's on
but
like the verge of greatness. We're like this close.
pretty good, but I don't know. I don't have too
Yeah, I
much
think we're
else to say about it besides that,
yeah.
but it leads for a nice cliffhanger. But it just feels like that plot line could have been developed more, and it's like it feels thrown
Yeah.
in. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Anyways, should we get to the finale? Because I don't think I have anything else to
Yeah,
say about
actually,
Forward to the
I
Future
have one
besides
more
this
thing
one.
about For the Future. This isn't about the episode, but somehow iTunes leaked this one early. Somehow,
Oh,
I don't get all. Apparently, that happened. Fucking True Colors, which oh boy, I don't want. If that got leaked for me early, if I was in
luckily
the
I wasn't into
I'd be.
Amphibia when True Colors came out,
Well, if I
so
was in the fandom, then I'd like lose my mind because I would not want that spoiled for me. But anyway, with Owl House, I felt really bad for the crew. Like, okay, first you're like treated bad by Disney, then your thing's shortened, and now your episode is leaked early.
yeah.
Honestly, I could have watched it then. I just felt like, out of respect for the crew and all the shit they've been through, I kind of want that rhymed. I kind of want to like, I kind of wanted to wait until the episode actually like came out to watch it. I couldn't watch it live, but out of respect to
Respect for the
the
dead.
Owl House staff, out of respect, I watched them on the Owl Club
Yeah,
right
that
as
fan
right as it would air live. So I was respectful. I
I did that
respect
as
you,
well.
Hannah. But yeah,
Yeah.
overall thing, I just wanted to mention that since that's like an interesting story I have with the episode. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, I think we're good after that. I
Yep.
felt that was an interesting thing to note.
Now we get to the
Uh,
finale, Watching and Dreaming.
okay.
Finale of the Owl
Watching
House.
and dreaming,
It's a great
right off the
finale.
bat.
Owl House ends
Yeah.
well, has a good conclusion.
Okay, thing is,
Congratulations.
I'll say
It's as good
this
as
is
it
my.
can be.
I will say it has my. I don't like the 4, 5. I think depends if you put Phineas and Ferb into this. That's kind of a different category. But out of the 4 story driven ones, this Amphibia, Gravity Falls, and Ducktales, which I know you haven't seen, but like hopefully you do eventually.
Yeah.
I think this one has my least favorite finale. It's probably because it's my least favorite of the shows, but I think, especially compared to The Hardest Thing and Weird Mageddon 3, it doesn't have that
It isn't
like
quite
bang.
as emotionally
Have that like.
impactful, but it's also a really good
Yeah.
ending that I think
I
works
think
well
that's
for the
mainly
show.
because there's not like the other two finales. They have like that whole like emotional thing where
Yeah,
like
abandonment,
Amphibia, the
Anne's
world's split
leaving her
apart.
frog eat
Gravity Falls like
breads.
summer
Wait, no,
ends.
I'll do it. I just
Yeah.
spoiled Amphibia by accident.
Oh no, it's fine. I think most people have watched. There's like an Owl House Amphibia fan overlap. I think we're all right.
Oh, all right.
There's
Whoopsie.
like
Sorry
a
for
Venn
someone who is
diagram.
watching this who hasn't seen Amphibia. My bad.
Spoilers, but anyway, so it doesn't have something like that. But I do think what it is, it's a nice conclusion. I had a nice old smile on. I didn't cry or anything like I do these other shows, but I had a nice old smile on my face at the end.
Yeah.
Everyone had a happy little ending
Yeah. I'll talk
for
about
everyone.
it because like I said, there's some great animation. The fight scene and the thing with Bellows possessing the Titan is just like it's a kaiju battle and it's done so well. We
Like
get
that they make fun of the idea that he could be redeemed. The
oh yeah
collector, like,
the collector recreates Steven Universe. That's right. I'm roasting Steven
yeah,
Universe. What are you gonna do? Or second
that was
Steven Universe
definitely, and
roast
I
in this
hope that's
video.
definitely a Steven Universe uh,
Yeah.
intentional
All you
jab.
need is
I feel like it
kindness
is.
and forgiveness. I thought that was hilarious, to be honest. I thought that's funny. I like that. But yeah, it follows a pretty simple plot. I like the opening with everyone being haunted by their worst nightmares. The King, Ida, and Luz reuniting was wholesome and well done. Uh,
Yeah, no, it's
a
sweet.
lot of
Like when
things
they
in the
bring
show
them
are
back
well
to
done.
that
I've been
area.
using that term a
I
lot.
miss one, and I guess for the future too, we didn't talk about it much. It does a good job of making you feel kind of bad for the collector, because obviously in a way, he's kind of awful, but also he doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah,
So it's
you
like
can
okay,
tell. It's said that he has no like grasp on human life and what death means to mortals. So like, yeah, you can
yeah,
understand. Plus, he was never
he
given
doesn't
any
get
sort
it.
of discipline. He
He
was
doesn't really
sent down by
understand.
his siblings, and then he was blamed for like using the Titan's power and was trapped in trapped in a stone in prison for ages by King's dad since he thought he was being the manipulative one, and it's like a sad backstory, and it makes you sympathize with him a lot, and it definitely sells me on his
Yeah, yeah.
character a lot. And I think it makes him work really, surprisingly, really well. And
Yeah, the collector kind of took a while for me to like fully vibe with him because, like I said, I love his concept, like I talked about, but I don't think like just some of how he like works and everything. I was like, okay, can I get back to Bellows? But no, when they actually get to him, I think by the end, I think it was worth it
yeah,
seeing
I don't have too
everything.
much to say about this finale, but a lot of it is a
Uh,
fight with
and this was actually like the least I have to say about the three, but
I think
it's
I
still
have
like
I don't know. I like the kaiju fight with I like Super Lose. I like the scene with King's
I
dad.
like her design. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that's
looks
great.
nice.
King's dad, who's played by Aaron Hansen
Aaron,
from Game Grumps. What did you
of the
think
game,
of
which I
that?
didn't know that, but I find that
Yeah,
really
I saw
funny.
that on the internet. I don't even watch Game Grumps,
I
but I
don't.
found that so
I like. I've watched LS Mark's Game Grumps videos. I guess that counts.
uh, you saw
I
someone
find that funny
talk
because I know
about
how
Game
Aaron
Grumps.
Hansen is as a
Okay,
person. So it's just funny to imagine him being in the Owl House.
okay, that's
Yeah, he
yeah.
does a good performance. I'll give him that. Good on
He
you,
gives me
Aaron.
Sans from Undertale vibes for the third time in this show because he's kind of
Yeah.
doing a similar skeleton deep voice.
Aaron Hansen is Ness. I got you.
Yeah.
Maybe
Um.
it's the way you're dressed.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a satisfying conclusion to the plot line. I like seeing. I like the design. I like at the climax with Titan lose, and I like
Yeah.
the ending with Bellows with him trying to
Well, the way he
manipulate
like,
Luz one last time by turning back into old
I
Philip,
know it's so like it's
only
perfect
for
because
Luz
he's so
to
slimy and so desperate that
yeah.
even when he has like nothing left, he's still like,
Yeah, we
yeah,
just see him
no,
slowly crumble under acid
yeah.
rain as Luz just
I will
stares
say,
at him. It's so well. It's
I will
so
say the
good.
visual of all of them stepping on him is a little goofy. I'm not
I
fully
like
into
that.
that,
I
but
like
yeah.
that. I don't
But,
know. I like
no,
that.
no. Okay, we're gonna defeat him by stepping on him.
What? I didn't have a
Okay.
problem with that. I I
That's all right.
I
I
enjoy,
want to
I
see it.
thought it just worked well. I don't know.
I like the visual. Like him slowly decomposing is a great visual, though.
Yeah,
I love that.
that's cool. Like as you see is just him slowly melt as Luce just stares at him, trying one last try just to manipulate him, only for everyone just to be done with his little manipulation games that he's been doing for the entire series. It's done. It's just it's great. and also the
Yeah.
conclusion. I like some of the characters all like looking back with each other. I like the collector's
I
redemption.
got
I
a
thought
nice
was done
ending
well.
montage. Like,
Yeah, it's just
but
like
it's not like
it's nice how we could just have this nice ending with everyone reuniting. I kind of wish there were more like dialogue interactions and whatnot. I
yeah.
guess, but
I
yeah,
like no, I like that they like still like they don't do like an Amphibia or Gravity Falls thing where the world's like where
yeah.
like the characters have to split because like that works phenomenally for both of those other shows, which we'll get to in those videos. But I
Uh-huh.
don't think the point of the Owl House doesn't really require something like that, like those other two shows do. So it's just sweet. They like Luz can go visit both worlds.
Yeah,
She
it
like
fits
he hasn't
well
mentioned
because the
any.
show seems to be like it's a Luz. The main thing is like it makes sense for Luz to like have this ending of her like finding her type of people and where she belongs, and I think it fits well because she's formed such great connections with them that it makes sense that she could like. It's kind of nice that she just like can stay
Yeah,
with them. She's gone through so much, and it's nice that she could just have this wholesome, happy ending that she like takes up like studying and magic. I like all the new designs all the characters get. I
yeah.
think works well, like their aged up designs. It's a wholesome ending. It's just done really
Yeah.
well. I
Then they all come together. I like it when they directly thank the audience. I
it's a
appreciated
bit
that.
cheesy, but
Um,
it's nice. It's
it's
still a
cheesy,
wholesome
I
ending.
think they earned it. Like,
Yeah,
come
they
on.
earned
Like,
it. Good. The fact they wrapped it up this seamlessly and in a generally like emotionally impactful way. And while it's like the weakest ending of the main three shows, it is still an ending that I think works really well for what the show was
yeah,
trying to
I
do.
think it's nice, and I'm glad they got to. They like
Yeah.
for their circumstances, the Owl House was dealt one of the honestly. I know Mora Ora was dealt a bad hand. At least Adult Swim wasn't like you can't be gay. Like no, Owl House was dealt one of the worst hands
Uh-huh.
out of any show I've like seen. The fact that they were able to like put together the pieces, and it's not an amazing finale, but that we still got like a great one. That's like I think that's something to behold. Like honestly, that's like a testament to the talent of
Yeah.
the crew and
Uh-huh.
everything.
Um,
Honestly, honestly, good on them. I'm proud.
yeah,
Good on them.
good.
Good job, Dana.
I'm giving it
Did a great job.
this episode another 8, which will even
I
out
would
my
give it
score of this season to an 8 out of 10, which it's a
yeah.
bit of a lower side of 8, I guess. It's more flawed than season
I think
2.
it's harder to judge as a season because we only have these three
Yeah,
episodes. You can't really.
yeah, but like they're all good episodes. I still
Yeah.
think thanks to them is like more emotionally darker and
Yeah.
impactful for me, but I
But
think
thanks to
watching
them
Dreaming
is like
works really well as a finale.
yeah, yeah. I think For the Future's the weakest. Then watching the Dreaming, and then thanks to them was like I said in that top five I made. It's just one of my. Actually, no, I think it'd be top three for me. They'll really love that episode, and I go an 8 on the season two,
Yeah,
and
great,
yeah,
great conclusion. They wrapped it up fairly well for what they were dealt with, and I'm happy they did it this way.
yeah.
Overall, I guess this would round my rating to the Owl House to like a high 7 or low 8. I'd say my score is around
Uh,
that spectrum.
I think it was probably like an 8 overall. The thing is, I think I talked about earlier my summer of Disney, right? And I think I feel kind of bad sometimes. I feel like I always kind of deal Owl House a bad hand, kind of. Because let me explain. So in that Disney marathon, I watched 5 shows. Shows I watched before the Owl House are Amphibia, my favorite one for personal reasons, but we'll get to that, and Gravity Falls, the best one. So kind of stuck there. Owl House isn't going to compare to those two for me. And then after the Owl House, I watched DuckTales, which is another show I really like. I don't talk about it as much, but that show's really
Maybe we'll
great too.
do that one at some point, but
Ooh,
who
nice. I would love
knows?
to talk about that. And then after Owl House, I watch Phineas and Ferb, which is one of the most funny and like creative
Great
shows of the
show.
past couple of
We
years.
already talked
So,
about the movie, so.
so the point is, I'm in that like Disney binge that it's one of my like favorite show marathons I've done. Owl House has always been like the one stuck in the middle for me. Like it's kind of, I feel like I overshadow it too much sometimes, which like I get why, but also the show has a lot of stuff I really love in it.
Yeah,
jokes
it's a
and
good
memes
show.
aside.
I recommend
And
it for
you know what? It's
people,
never gonna
and
be
I
a
can
personal
understand how they
favorite.
feel.
Okay. Yeah, it's never gonna be a personal favorite of mine, but a lot of it is really great. And
Yeah.
frankly, like I said, I greatly like genuinely. I just respect the team a lot for being able to do what they did under those circumstances. You know what?
Yeah,
Good on you, the
like all
Owl
the
House.
jabs to Disney,
Good-
such as the classic.
Yeah.
I don't know, what do you want? Have a beach day, and then it says maybe if we had time for 20 more adventures. Kind of a nice jab at Disney
Oh
for
yeah, I remember
canceling the
that.
show. That was funny.
If we
In
had
season
more
two.
time, we would.
Yeah. Also didn't
We
mention
would.
the thing with Ida with her and her dad, but that's also done well. Uh,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
good show.
Yeah.
Kind of yeah, good finale, good show. Recommend it. I like it. Go check out the Owl House. It's good.
Yeah.
And screw
Good show.
Disney
Yeah.
for not letting it reach its full
Hate you,
potential.
Disney.
Yeah, screw Disney for not
Uh,
letting the show reach its full potential. I guess that's it. I guess we'll wrap this
cool.
up. Pretty
Yes,
another
everything. We're
long
all good here.
episode, but
Hope you enjoyed this episode of Campy Cast. I had more to say in this one than I thought, but you know
yeah,
what?
Sam.
I had fun talking about
It's
this show,
fun
and I'm
breaking
glad that
down
we did.
this show and
Hope you enjoyed part one. In a couple episodes, we will be getting to part two,
Amphibia.
the Amphibia special. I
Yeah.
am very excited for that one.
I think
But
the
we'll
Amphibia one will probably have a this. It might be even longer than this one, but who knows?
oh, no, I
Yeah.
think it will. I have a lot of stuff to say about that show,
Mhm.
so we'll
Yeah.
get to.
To be fair, in length, this one is so far almost as long as the Moral Oral one, which was
Oh
surprising.
man,
Even though our
um,
discussion on the Moral Oral one was much more deep and thought provoking. So
oh yeah, we had. Ah,
yeah.
well,
Overall,
even still,
yeah. Thanks for watching. Um, stay tuned for the next episode and tuning in for another episode of Campy Cast. And yeah, see you. Thanks.
bye bye.